Hey everyone, I'm Matt FF Dynasty on Twitter.
Hi, I'm Kev at Dynasty_GOAT.
And I'm Paul at Paul_Pickin. And you're listening
to
the
Dynasty
Hotseat.
Nailed it. Yes, hello, everybody. I mean, welcome to the Dynasty Hot Seat, the greatest ever intro you've seen in your life. And it's still the only Dynasty show out there that is a certified inferno. Do not adjust your screens. Not just one guest today, but three guests. Not just any three guests, the best three in the wildcard crew. We got Matt, we got Kev, we got Paul. Guys, thank you so much for coming onto the show, taking time out of your very busy schedules to come on to one of the very last of the off-season hot seats. Can't wait to get going with this. How are you all doing? Matt, I'll go to you first.
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks, Mags. Been looking forward to this. Not just one on the hot seat now. We've got four guys. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun to wrap up the off-season, I guess.
Absolutely. Kev, how you doing?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. We're not too far away from the start of the season, so really looking forward to that. When you started the show, you said the best three, and there's four of us on, so I just want to know who doesn't make the best three.
I mean, I wasn't including myself. I was trying to be
we all know who Mags really meant.
And speaking of which, Paul, how you doing, mate?
I'm doing really well, mate. I've spent so much time with you this week.
Yeah,
my wife is actually asking me if I'm having an affair with you. You know?
Yeah, I mean that is the reason one of our fellow wildcard members, Hannah, can't be here. She did say that her partner would kill her if she went on another podcast this week. So Hannah, we all love you. Hope you're listening and you're doing well and are still alive. So yeah. Also, just before we start the show, quick plug, make sure you like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also, make sure you're checking out brand new show with Paul and myself in it, the Wildcard Rewind. First episode just dropped last night. Check it out. Go over to the page at Wildcard Rewind on Twitter. Have a look at what we did. We're so happy with the first show, and hopefully you'll come and join us on the rest of our journey. So, with that out of the way, we're going into segment number one, the Art of War. A little bit different this time. We got more guests, so we're going to go to one tip each, and it's going to be a tip sort of specific to the time we're at now, which is right before game week one. What is sort of the last sort of things that you should be doing with your teams, with your rosters, and all that good stuff? Matt, we're going to come to you first. Sort of a final tip for people about to embark on the Dynasty or the fantasy season.
Yeah, I think the thing that I'm doing right now in all my Dynasty leagues is going through all my teams and just really setting it in my mind, knowing what I'm looking to do this season. So not just thinking, right, I might have a chance of making the playoffs. I either want to make sure I'm making those playoffs or make sure I'm getting nowhere near them. So I think just the main thing when it gets to week one is what I'm looking at is my roster. What do I need to do? Am I going all in? If I am, you need to be making those moves and committing to that. And then obviously you see how it goes as the season progresses. But I just think having that clear picture in your mind as you head into the season is really important, ready for week one.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be in the playoffs or you want to be last probably, right? Because then you get better the next year. So yeah, completely agree. Doing the exact same thing as you are. Kev, what are you thinking for a final tip for our listeners?
Yeah, I think at this time of year, it's maximizing your roster spots. So there will be guys on IR, there'll be your taxi squads as well. So it's just making sure that if you've got someone on IR, you're moving them, and then you've created a roster spot to take a dart throw on a running back, something like that, or a backup QB. Same with your taxi squad. You might promote one of those to your main roster, just making sure that you are adding a replacement in there, just because later on in the season, the waiver wire is going to get very, very thin very quick. So just keeping a step ahead of the competition.
Yeah, absolutely. Be one step ahead of the game. And just check as well. I know some of my leagues, you can put suspended players in IR, and some of your leagues you can't. So in some cases, I got Calvin Ridley, Deshaun Watson on IR, so it's super handy having that. Some leagues you can't do it. So just don't think that because you can't do it in one league that it doesn't work for others. So make sure you're checking out for that. So yeah, love that tip, Kevin. And Paul, what you got for us for a final tip before the season?
So mine wasn't so much week one. It's more looking into week two, where like keeping your eye on the waiver wire, seeing who your targets. Like Kev said, towards the end of the season, the waiver wire does get quite thin, and you will always find somebody on the waiver wire in the first couple of weeks. Don't be afraid to go and get that person. Don't scrimp on your fab thinking, I need some towards the end of the season, because by the end of the season, there's not many people on that waiver wire. So, you know, how many times have we seen a running back go off in the first couple of weeks? And, you know, you've got to take your opportunity. You've got to go and get that guy. So keep ahead of the game with the waiver wire. That's the best thing to do.
Yeah, I really like that tip as well. I had someone on the show previously who talked about, hey, just in the next trade you do, just ask them for $10 fab as well. So you know you can outbid every single person if you really need to. You know, if there's that real, like, obvious running back or obvious quarterback that you're quite happy to spend all your fab on and everyone else's, you got $10 extra there, so you can outbid everybody no matter what happens. So I thought that was a really good tip. Can't remember who it was, but thank you, whoever you were. My final tip for people, you know, coming into the season would be just make sure that you're going over once again your league settings, your scoring settings, because not every league you play in is going to be the same. So one lineup in one league might not be the optimum lineup in another. So just double check the scoring settings. Is it tight end premium? Do you get weird bonus points for different things? So just have one final look before you set your lineups about players you might be just missing out on because you've not fully checked the settings. So make sure you do that. Perfect. Guys, the hints and tips are out the way. What we really came for was the hot seat mock draft. And we've already, before the show, been picking our spots, been finding out where to go. We've all changed about 6 times because we want to snipe each other. It's going to be great. We're going to see people taking players they don't even want because the other guy wants them. I might take Kyler Murray. Who knows? We'll have to find out. We'll have to find out as we flick onto the hot seat mock draft board. And for those watching, you're able to see already. I've gone and I've taken spot number 4 right beside Paul Pickin at spot number 5. We got Matt in at spot number 8 and Kev right at the end at spot number 12, being able to pick up some great players on the turn. So, gentlemen, we ready?
Yeah. Ready as we'll ever be.
All right, let's, without further ado, get the draft started and see who falls to us. And, oh, can somebody please turn their sound off? My goodness me. That is absolutely horrendous noise. We've got Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and Justin Jefferson going at number 3. Now, I said I might take Kyler Murray. However, I'm sure there's a name sitting there that everyone is seeing right now. It's Justin Herbert, still available at number 4. You can't not take Justin Herbert. Even if it's to annoy one of your mates, you always got to take Justin Herbert. Actually, Paul, interesting question. Would you be more annoyed here if I took Kyler Murray, or are you more annoyed that I'm going to take Justin Herbert and you can't get Herbert?
So you all paint this picture of me as, you know, a massive homer, and Kyler Murray's one of them. But I would genuinely be really annoyed if you took Justin Herbert now.
Yeah, well, there's only one thing for that, right? Justin Herbert locked in. We're on to Paul Pickin, and first pick off the board, Paul. Who's standing out for you there? You got Jonathan Taylor still there if you're looking for that kind of win now build. Joe Cool, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Lamar Jackson, then of course your boy Kyler Murray still sitting there. So what's your thought process, mate?
So last time I was on, I picked from the 5 spot, and I took Joe Burrow, but I'm not going to do that this time. I'm going to try and mix it up a little bit. And I'm actually going to go and draft a win now team. And I'm going to take Jonathan Taylor.
Ooh, very nice. Can I ask, folks, if possible, could you all make sure your
I think it's yours,
sleeper
Max.
apps? Me?
It's definitely not me. 'Cause it's on my phone.
I've got mute on here, so I don't think it's
messing.
I'm on my phone, so I've got no noises coming from it.
You've got no noises. Okay, we're hopefully all good. We're hopefully all good going forward. So we got Matt on the board. Matt, what are you thinking here now? You've got obviously Paul took Jonathan Taylor, that win that team. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase went off the board. So you got Lamar, Kyler Murray, Najee Harris, Cooper Kupp, even Cal Pitts still there. Is anyone standing out for you?
Yeah, I think there's when I came on the hot seat with you, Mags, one of my tips was in Superflex leagues, I tend not to play QB chicken early. So if I think I've got a stud quarterback there early, I'm more than happy to use that first round pick on a quarterback. And for me, there's a couple of quarterbacks there that stand out. We've talked about Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson as well as another quarterback that I'm really high on. And I think that's the direction I'm going to go. I think I'm going to take Lamar Jackson. We know that rushing upside that he has. Yeah, I think there's not much more to add on it really. Lock in that elite quarterback and work from there.
Yeah, I think you're completely spot on there with Lamar Jackson, and sneaky outside chance to be MVP this year, Lamar Jackson. I'm just going to throw it out there.
Yeah.
And we're on now with Kev. First two picks of the draft for you, Kev. Kyler Murray comes off the board, Cooper Kupp, and also Najee Harris, Cal Pitts, Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey as well, still there. Christian McCaffrey, an interesting one, right, guys? People are I've seen McCaffrey fall down, and as it gets closer to the season, he's sort of creeping back up again because people go, oh, he's pretty good, right? So what's your thoughts on Christian McCaffrey, Kev, and what direction are you going to go?
I mean, McCaffrey, first of all, I'm very much in on him. The age doesn't scare me. The fact that if he is healthy, he's a league winner. He's clearly the RB1 in fantasy this season. And yes, he has had some injuries, but you're playing to win, really. I think it is a little bit too early with some of the guys left on the board and the tiers that I use. But in terms of Dynasty overall, still in on McCaffrey. I think if you're not in on McCaffrey, maybe you're a little bit risk averse and maybe playing not to lose. So, but I'm definitely not one of those people. I want to try and win. I want to try and win now as well. So my first pick, you have to start with a QB as your cornerstone. And I see Jalen Hurts is high up there, and I'm an Eagles fan, but it's not going to be him. It comes down to me the question of Trey Lance or Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson, obviously, if you take him in your startup right now, you're potentially punting this season, depending on how QBs fall the rest of the draft. Trey Lance, I think he's jumped massively since he's been confirmed as the starter. So he's right up there. I'd take him probably before Joe Burrow, if I'm honest, in Dynasty and redraft. I've seen him go before Lance in redraft, and I've had a little chuckle to myself. So between Lance and Watson, I'm going to take the sexy new guy in Trey Lance and just play for the upside, really. The fact that he could be anything. We know Watson's top 5, but Lance could be number 1 overall. He might not be, but again, you're playing to win. You're playing for the future as well, I guess, with this sort of build. Second guy, I could tap Watson again, but there is a standout to me. He's a guy in a tier of his own at his position. Another young guy. Honestly, I think he should be going way earlier than he is. And if he's going to be used like a wide receiver, then it's absolutely scary getting a wide receiver in the tight end position, getting the tight end points. He's going to destroy everybody in the competition. So I'm taking David Njoku. Not. It's Kyle Pitts, obviously.
Kyle Pitts, yeah. I mean, Kyle Pitts, what a difference maker as well. And a rookie season, over 1,000 yards as a tight end, as a rookie in a team that wasn't that good. I mean, that's pretty special. And yeah, he's just going to be an absolute stud going forward forever. And there's not too many tight ends on the horizon in college at the minute that are looking like a Kyle Pitts coming out. There's some pretty good guys, but there isn't another Kyle Pitts on the horizon anytime soon. These guys are special. So having Kyle Pitts on your team, yeah, you're locked in at the tight end position. You don't need to worry about it for years and years. So Matt, we're back to you at the minute with Swift, Prescott, Javonte Williams coming off the board. People there for you: CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Jalen Hurts, Austin Eckler, Mark Andrews. Loads of guys still available, obviously, in the top 2 rounds. Anyone standing out for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tempting when you take a quarterback and you can see a stack lined up there. Obviously, Mark Andrews still on the board. That's very tempting, but I just feel like it's maybe a little bit too early to go for Mark Andrews. I feel like I'd maybe reach in a little bit, and I don't just want to reach on a player just because I can form that stack. And I think we've spoke about a player just 2 seconds ago when Kev was making his pick that I think is currently standing out, and that's Christian McCaffrey. I mean, this is a guy that, just looking back even a year ago, he was right up in the top 3 in terms of Superflex startups, and now he's falling because of those injuries. Like Kev said, I'm not too worried about the age. Obviously, he's getting up there. We know the potential worries when it comes to running backs and that age cliff that we all talk about. But I just feel the potential upside in a running back like Christian McCaffrey and what he can do on the field. If I'm really going for it this year, going all in for a quick win to kick things off, I think I've got to take that potential RB1, probably the most likely RB1 for 2022 out of all the running backs. So yeah, I'm going to lock in Christian McCaffrey and lock up a solid running back.
Absolutely love that.
Man.
I've got a fun Christian McCaffrey little story actually. It happened today at work. One of the girls at work was like, you do like an NFL podcast, right? It's like, yeah. She's like, I know some NFL players. It's like, do you? So that, yeah, I follow their girlfriends on Instagram. I was like, all right. She's like, I know Christian McCaffrey. I'm like, all right, yeah. And she's like, and I know Braxton Berrios. Like, Braxton Berrios. Like, that is a very weird player to know. Like, you only know 2 NFL players. I wouldn't have guessed Braxton Berrios was going to be the second.
Wow.
But apparently his girlfriend, massive on Instagram. So well done to her. And Paul, you let a sigh there. You're not happy with either Matt's pick or the Team 7 and Team 6's pick. What's happened?
It's Team 6 and Matt's pick. I was hoping one of them would come back to me. To be honest, if Jalen Hurts was there, it was a smash for me. And if Christian McCaffrey came back and I started with Taylor and McCaffrey, that is complete fire, you know.
Yeah.
So I'd have been happy with one of them, but I'm going to go for somebody who is an absolute stud wide receiver and is going to do it for the next 2 years, and that is Devontae Adams.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Adams, like, it's so talented, right, Paul? You can imagine that there might be slight regression because obviously he is getting a downgrading quarterback, but Derek Carr is still a very good quarterback. Do you see Devontae Adams taking a small step back, or do you think actually he's just going to keep doing what he's been doing?
Yeah, he's definitely, he's definitely going to take a step back because Derek Carr is a downgrade. He's no Aaron Rodgers, really, is he? But I still think he's going to demand targets, and you throw him the ball, he's going to catch him. If you throw him 140 targets in a season, he's going to come down with big numbers, and he is somebody that I could see. He has the potential of finishing as the wide receiver 1 again. He has that in his locker room. So, and the fact that I'm a win now team, and that's what I've gone for. I've got somebody that is going to perform for the next 2 years. He's not the young wide receiver. He's not. I could have gone for, I don't know, somebody like AJ Brown, maybe a Jalen Waddle, somebody like that. But to me, Devontae Adams over the next 2 years is locked in for me. And let's go, let's do this.
Yeah, I think a great pick there. You kind of made my next pick a little bit easier. I was thinking about Adams or this guy I'm going to pick, and actually with the quarterback I picked, Justin Herbert, my second pick here. Just became a bit easier as well. I'm going to channel my inner T-Strack. I'm going to take the stack here. I'm going to get Austin Eckler in. I'm going to try and get this anchor running back in for my team. And hopefully the stack with Herbert and Eckler is going to really, really push the team forward. And get some huge points locked up just from those two players every single week. So I'm going to take Austin Eckler here. Maybe I wouldn't have done it if I didn't have Herbert, but I think with Herbert, it's absolute money. So I'm taking Eckler, and I'm hoping a stud wide receiver is going to come back to me. So let's find out. I'm pretty happy, actually. So Stephon Diggs, Deebo Samuel, didn't think they would end up falling. So I'm going to switch over to receiver, or I might look up my second quarterback. So we're going to have a little look at both. We've got AJ Brown, Jalen Waddle, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill there, and at quarterback, Stafford, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson is there, Justin Fields is there, Aaron Rodgers is there. So I'm kind of in the same kind of predicament you were in, Kev, where I'm thinking if I take Deshaun Watson here, that's big for the team, but, are you punting it this year? It's tricky. I'm a gambling man, though. So what I am going to do is I think Deshaun Watson is an elite quarterback. I think he's still young enough where he has enough age. I trust him more than Trevor Lawrence. He's got longer in the league more than Matthew Stafford. I'm going to take Deshaun Watson. I'm going to hope some better receivers come back to me. And I'm going to take a QB3, hopefully early-ish, to kind of sort out that super flex position. So I'm going to take Deshaun Watson for the long term and hopefully can build for the short term moving forward. So we'll see how that goes. And we're back on to Paul. So Paul, let me just filter back to all for people watching and let you talk through what you're thinking at the minute.
I'm so glad you did that, because when you said you were thinking of QB, I was like, oh man, he's definitely going to take the guy that I want right now. To be honest, I think I'm looking at the draft board, and I'm actually thinking if I was in a proper startup Dynasty Superflex draft, I don't think that fewer QBs, that's quite a small amount of QBs to go in the first two rounds. I've seen them, QBs for the first 10 picks, like, you know what I mean? So I think any QB right now is massive value. But to me, if I can start Taylor Adams and Aaron Rodgers, I am buzzing.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, that is just prime to like win now. Like you said at the start, you took Jonathan Taylor, you went down that win now path, and adding Devontae Adams and Aaron Rodgers, possibly the wide receiver one and the quarterback one going into this year. I mean, you buzzing is a good word for it, mate. I think you're spot on there.
I think I've got a wide receiver there that could finish as the wide receiver one, and I've got a QB that can. He's definitely got it. I think Rich Cooling was talking about it on the Wildcard show this
talking
week.
About Aaron Rodgers, Rich Cooling.
No, right? I know. But like even the numbers that you're all talking about, it was just like he's just got everything there to be a solid QB1, and he's the next 2 years. You look at that team for the next 2 years, and I've got a running back one, I've got a wide receiver one, and I've got a QB one. Yeah, that's all I need.
Absolutely agree. And Matt, you're back on the board trying to add to your Lamar Jackson and Christian McCaffrey. So what are you thinking here? You're still in the win now mode as well. You're thinking you got CMC locked in. So where are you going next?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough because, like Paul said, usually in most of your startups, you tend to see these quarterbacks fly off the board. So I'm still surprised to see quarterbacks like Stafford, even Trevor Lawrence, the guy that I'm pretty high on. To see them still on the board is not something you're used to. So already I've been thrown off what I probably usually do in a startup because the board has fallen differently to the common thing that you see. So I'm now starting to think, with those quarterbacks, I mentioned it at the start, I don't like to play chicken too much with the quarterbacks. And I feel there's still a couple of guys there that are a tier in front. I know it's hard again. I've got my fellow co-host Kev on here. I know Kev like the back of my hand. I know exactly what he's planning on doing. I know every trick in the book when it comes to Kev. So I have to be careful about what I'm saying when I'm thinking about these players and who I'm going to go for. So thinking about it, the quarterback I think the quarterback's far too tempting. There's still some great wide receivers on the board. AJ Brown, T. Higgins, another guy that I'm really high on. But as I say, I don't like to play the chicken game when it comes to quarterback. And I feel there's a young quarterback there that I feel has been a little bit disrespected in Trevor Lawrence after that tough rookie season. But I think the talent's there. We all spoke about it last off season when he came into the league. This is one of the best prospects in the quarterback position that we've seen since Andrew Luck. I think he's top tier, and I think he just got dealt a bad hand in that first year. Obviously, we know Urban Meyer, not the greatest coach to have in your first year in the NFL, and as well those weapons that he had over in Jacksonville weren't the best either. So yeah, I think if we're talking about a guy that can bounce back, I think Trevor Lawrence is that guy. So I'm going to take Trevor Lawrence, lock in my second quarterback.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence in line definitely for a definitely a big step forward coming into this year. He's finally got some proper NFL wide receivers on his team. Sure, they paid probably too much for them, but at least they're there now, and they will help him going forward. And he's got a proper NFL coach as well. Doug Peterson, obviously super like. Kev will talk about Doug Peterson, I'm sure, all day if you want. But he's got a proper setup now. I think you can almost wipe the slate clean after last year, and this is Trevor Lawrence's first proper year in a proper system. So I'm excited to see what he can do, and hope he does well. So Kev, we're back to you, and Matt, if only we got you to write down what you think Kev's picks would be, and then you take them out of a sealed envelope, right? So, Kev, you're back on the board. You've got your quarterback locked up. You've got your elite tight end locked up. What are you going to next?
Yeah, so in terms of Matt's pick, I'd set up a queue of like 5 guys, and that's sort of what I like to do when it's coming to my pick in real drafts as well. Just sort of line it up so I know my decisions between 4 or 5 people rather than looking at the draft board, getting flustered. So I've got my list down to 3, which is nice. It's an easy decision for the next 2 picks. I would have took Matt Stafford if he came to me. I like to play it safe at QB. Obviously, I took Trey Lance. So that's a bit funny, but I do prefer a veteran presence in general. But there's no QBs that I like at this value. So it's narrowed it down to me. There's a running back that stands out. I'm going to take him my second pick. I'll tease you with that one. But there's a wide receiver that I was really, really hoping got past Matt because I know he loves this guy. He's someone that I acquired in the league today. Give Drake London and Geno Smith for this guy and a 10th round Devy pick, which it's not worth a lot, but that should tell you what sort of caliber wide receiver this guy is. He's the wide receiver 2 on one of the best offenses in the league. If there's an injury to the star wide receiver, he's going to absolutely kill it. Top 3 ceiling. Will he stick around at his team? I'm not sure, but I think he is that good that he can go to another team and still thrive. He's young, which fits the mold of Lance and Pitts. So my first pick. You should know it. It's T. Higgins.
I thought you were going to say McCall Hardman.
Stop it. No, Juju, man. Juju, come on.
I thought he was going Tyreek Hill.
I thought it was DJ Chark, to be honest.
And then early on in my drafts, I do like to get at least one stud running back. There is a couple in this tier, actually, which makes it a bit tougher for me because I like to get the last player in a tier, for example, which Higgins was there. But I'm playing for upside. I'm playing for a guy that, if everything hits for him, he can be a running back 1 overall this season. I think he's got at least a couple of years left in him. So, yeah, this one might also hurt my co-host Matthew, but I'm going to be taking Saquon Barkley.
Ooh. Saquon coming off the board. Matt, is that what you were thinking coming up to get your guy Saquon Barkley locked in? Or are you thinking you could have him, Kev? He's going to get injured anyway.
I mean, Kev said it. Kev knows that I love Saquon Barkley. I'm obviously a Giants fan as well. So double whammy on me there. The fact that I love him as a player, but also is my Giants player as well. But yeah, kind of pretty. I know Kev. T. Higgins, I knew as soon as I mentioned T. Higgins, I thought there's no way that Kev's not taking him if he gets to Kev. So yeah, to be honest, I think when it came to Kev's second pick as well, that you were mentioning those running backs. I know there's another running back that Kev's really, 2 running backs actually that are right at the top of the current ADP right now. If we have a look, and that's Alvin Kamara and Travis Etienne. I know Kev's really high on Kamara this year. Obviously, the fact that it now looks like he's going to play all this year as well only boosts, I think, the the appeal of taking him right now. But for me, I think obviously we're doing a dynasty start. The fact that I've taken McCaffrey, I don't want to put all my eggs into that running back basket. We know the dilemmas that you can get when it comes to running backs and playing fantasy and in dynasty. I try and avoid, unless I'm getting one of those elite guys like McCaffrey, I tend to avoid the position as much as possible early. So I think I will be looking at wide receivers. It's a shame that Kev took T. Higgins, but as I say, it was expected. And then another guy, DK Metcalf's a guy that I'm still pretty high on. I think obviously we all expect him to have a poorer year than what he would have had if Russell Wilson was still there. So it was a shame to see him go, but I still feel like there's a quality wide receiver there that's right at the top of the list. Showed out in his rookie year, obviously that young wide receiver. We absolutely love him in Dynasty, and I think I'm going to take him. There's obviously been an arrival of another wide receiver. If you haven't quite caught on yet, I'm talking about Jalen Waddle. The arrival of Tyreek Hill obviously muddies the water a little bit, but I'm still believing Jalen Waddle. I loved him as a prospect. The fact that he blew up in his rookie year just heightens the excitement for him. So I think I'm going to lock in a young stud in Jalen Waddle as my first wide receiver.
Yeah, I love grabbing as many Jalen Waddle shares as I can. I mean, I'm a little bit gutted you took him because I was thinking about Jalen Waddle coming back to me there. I think, Tyreek Hill, I've said it before, if you don't double Tyreek Hill, you will lose the game. So that means Jalen Waddle's not going to be double because you just don't have enough players for that, right? So Jalen Waddle could end up having a really good season because Tyreek Hill is on that team. So I'm super interested to see how they use him. Are they going to use him close to the line of scrimmage? Are they going to use him to stretch the fields? I have absolutely no idea, but I actually cannot wait to see the Dolphins play this year because it's so intriguing. Plus that running game, who knows what's going to happen there. So, yeah, I'm really excited to see him. But I think Jalen Waddle's going to have a really good season again and an even better career. So great pick, Matt. And Paul, we're back onto you. The pick before me. So, come on, mate. Don't do me dirty here. What you got?
This is an easy pick for me. Kev mentioned him. Matt mentioned him. And I was praying that Matt wasn't going to take him, and I thought he's not going to take him because he's got McCaffrey, so he's going to leave him. And then it looked like you were going to take him, and then you didn't take him. I'm really happy. It's to build on my win now team. I'm going to take Alvin Kamara.
Yep. Kamara, obviously, Paul, we've spoken about it a little bit, last night on the Wildcard Rewind. So you're thinking Kamara, obviously, it does look like he's going to play the full season. Weird thing where his court date got pushed back. It's an odd situation, but at the minute he's playing. So what made you go for Kamara there, Paul? Cool. He's frozen in time, but he's frozen at quite. If people can see this, he's kind of frozen still. It looks like he's just sitting, but he is frozen. I think. Paul, you back with us?
I'm back. I think the effects of that thunderstorm last night is having an effect.
I
think Super Camario is going to play a whole season, and he's Alvin Kamara. He's one of the best receiving backs in the NFL. He'll rush it, he'll receive it, he'll demand targets, he will get the bulk of the work there. There's no 1A, 1B or anything like that. He's a clear 3-down back. And, on a win now team, he's somebody that you need on your team. He's somebody that can dominate as a running back too. For me, that's easy smash play.
Yeah, really like that for a win now team. So, I'm kind of in the same boat. I locked up Herbert and Eckler, took a risk with Deshaun Watson for more of longevity and security at quarterback. Now, I'm going to tell you exactly what I want to happen, so it probably won't. I'm going to take Tyreek Hill because I think he's just going to have a monster season. Tyreek Hill is Tyreek Hill. He's still, one of the best receivers in the NFL, and I think getting him in round number 4, the end of round number 4, is just too good a value to pass up. And then I'm hoping my guy, Michael Pittman Jr., comes back to me. I don't see it happening, but we're going to cross our fingers.
He's going to team 2.
He's got a team 2. Let's hope team 2 doesn't end up sniping me. So he's taking Drake London. Man. devastated. So team one is the guy that's ended up taking Michael Pittman Jr. So I'm back on the clock again. I've taken Tyreek Hill as my first wide receiver. So I've got 2 quarterbacks, I got a running back, and I've got a wide receiver. So now I can see exactly what I'm going to do. I talked about taking Deshaun Watson. That is kind of a riskier pick, but I see a guy sitting there in round number 5 who should not be there in round number 5, and it's Derek Carr. Derek Carr should have gone ages ago. I am delighted to have Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, and Derek Carr on this team with Austin Eckler and Tyreek Hill. I think I'm getting value in every single round here. So Derek Carr is someone who I can play this year happily, comfortably, and then he's someone I could even trade going forward. And I'm also really safe in knowing that every time Paul Pickens gets points with Devontae Adams, I'm getting points with Derek Carr. So that really brings a smile to my face. So I'm getting Derek Carr locked in. And Paul, we're right back to you.
So this is a really difficult pick for me now. It's a really difficult pick. There's a lot of players that I like the look of. Aaron Jones, I think, is massive value where he is right now, and to stack him with Aaron Rodgers would be a mega stack. But I'm doing what Matt has said he tries to avoid, and that's playing QB chicken. And I'm starting to panic about the QBs, and I'm looking at these 2 teams that still haven't even got a QB, and then you look at Team 11 and you, Kev, who
is awesome.
Sorry, Paul, we lost you there, but
how far did I get?
I think you were saying Team 11 and Kev only have 1 QB, I believe, if we're lip reading, and then
they only have 1 QB, so I'm gonna have to take a QB, and I'm gonna panic a little bit, but I'm gonna add a QB that when I'm playing win now, I look at a redraft mindset, and you know that to me, Tom Brady right now is just smash.
Welcome
Tom
to the
Brady.
redraft hot seat.
Yeah, I mean, talk about the ultimate redraft player, right? Tom Brady, who's got a contract to call football on commentary next year that's bigger than any contract he's ever got to play football, which is unbelievable. So this is it. This is the last dance. I said last night, there better be documentary crews about because I want to watch this documentary, just like the Jordan one. I think this is going to be a great year for Tom Brady. I predicted last night, I think the Bucs are going to get to the Super Bowl. I think Tom Brady is going to have another great season. Yeah, Paul, you know, if you're in win now, you can't get much better than the greatest of all time. So yeah, good pick, mate. I like it. And Matt, you're back on the clock here. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'll start by saying I'm absolutely wounded that Team 6 has taken DJ Moore. He was a guy that I had my eye on ever since I made my last pick, to be honest, praying that he'd come back to me. So it stings a little bit that he got so close, but yet so far. So sadly, no DJ Moore for me. But as I say, that's kind of hinting towards what I'm looking at here. I'm looking for another wide receiver. I think there's still some good running backs on the board, but we're talking guys like Aaron Jones, who's should be great this year. And we did have Rich Cullen on recently on our show to talk about win now pieces. And he's obviously a great win now piece. But I just feel like the wide receiver giving me that value. Obviously, as I said, I've got Christian McCaffrey, so I've got a stud running back already. So I'm looking at wide receiver, and there's 2 players who actually both play for the same team, which are both catching my eye right now. Ooh. There's a guy in Mike Evans, and then there's also a guy there in Chris Godwin that's definitely tempting as well. So
yeah,
the question now is, who do I think is going to be the better long-term player? I think because I think we know that Chris Godwin, it could take a little bit for him to get back into action coming off that injury, whereas Mike Evans, we know is going to be there for week 1. So it's a question of what do I go for? You know what? I'm going to stick to my rankings and who I've got higher in my rankings. I'm going to take Chris Godwin. I understand, obviously, as I say, that injury. It's a concern thinking win now, but the fact that he's not been put on PUP is a positive. I feel like maybe it's just a week or 2 that it takes for him to get back up to speed. And I think when both on the field, I'd personally rather have Chris Godwin. So, yeah, more than happy to get him as my wide receiver too.
Yeah, I have Chris Godwin sort of ahead as well in terms of who I would take for Dynasty. I mean, he's obviously a couple of years younger. He's had a higher overall finish than Mike Evans as well. Historically, he was wide receiver 2 only a couple of years ago. I think Godwin, when healthy, when on the team, is just an amazing electric player. He can do everything, and these injuries he's getting are bizarre as well. They're like things like his thumb, or like he'll trip over, or like these aren't like on-field injuries a lot of the time. It seems like the guy just needs to catch a break. So I'm hoping this season, once he gets on the field, he'll stay on the field. So I love that pick there. And Kev, we're back to you. You got your 2 picks in a row again. Anyone standing out to you at the minute? You got your 1 QB, 1 tight end, 1 wide receiver, 1 running back. Look at that. Absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, I never draft like this. Yeah, so again, I've built a queue and it's left me 3 guys for 2 spots. So easy decisions in the grand scheme of things. I know my second pick is, because I'm going to make it look a little bit better for myself with my second pick is save him a little bit. But my first pick, it's coming down to wide receiver now. My wide receiver rankings are a lot different to consensus. I think between sort of 12, wide receiver 12, wide receiver 30, 35, 40. It's very fluid. 2 guys that stand out to me. One of them you'll absolutely know straight away. It's Juju Smith-Schuster. I think he's massively undervalued in all formats. I think he's got potential to be a wide receiver 1 this season if everything falls his way. And I can see a pathway where he is considered top 15 if he smashes this season in Dynasty as well. The other guy is, I actually thought Matt was describing him when he said it's
total suspense. No.
Yeah. When Matt said it's one of 2 guys on offense, I'm thinking it's got to be the team he supports, the Chargers, with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams there. And they're actually still both fair, but I just think with the way I'm building this, it's Mike Williams over Keenan Allen, which I've not tended to do previously. But I just think this team, it's looking towards the future more. And like I said on this week's Fantasy Wildcard show, end of the season, I think Mike Williams will be valued higher than Keenan Allen. And I wouldn't be shocked if he outperformed him this season. So it's really tough because I do love Juju. I do love him. And I've got a lot of exposure to him, whereas Mike Williams, I haven't. So treating this as a real life draft, I'm going to take Mike Williams just to get that exposure up to him.
Yeah.
And then my second pick's really easy. I hate playing QB chicken. This guy is coming off the board as QB 18. The last 8 seasons, the lowest he's finished is QB 19 in a season where he didn't play the full 16 games. His offense is changing from sort of conservative to an up-and-coming, high-volume pass offense. He's got the Dynasty wide receiver 1 or 2 as his main weapon. He's got Adam Thielen, a legend, as another. He's also got Irv Smith. Lol. So, yeah, Kirk Cousins is the second guy. Yeah, just think Kirk Cousins, he's guaranteed to be sort of top 15 minimum, but I really do think he could have a top 6 season this year.
Yeah, really like both the picks. I like that you do that as well. Like you have less exposure to someone, so I'm like, let me just get some Mike Williams involved on my portfolio as well, and see us. Our friend Charles Chill would say, get that portfolio building up, right? And then of course Kirk Cousins, everyone's favorite quarterback too, right? Mr. Reliable. Just love the picks, Kevin. Team is taking shape, lovely. And Matt, we're back to you. Has Kev sniped you again? Are you happy enough with what happened there?
In a way, because he did take Mike Williams, that was a guy that I had my eye on. Obviously, looking at the ADP, he was a lot lower down than where Kev took him, but we've literally just spoke about him, as Kev mentioned, on the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show. So I kind of had a feeling that Kev might do it. He might pull the trigger. And obviously, Kirk Cousins, again, Kev loves talking about Kirk Cousins. I know Kev's a big fan of Kirk Cousins. So, not too shocked really by Kev's pick. I just kind of wish it'll let Mike Williams fall to me, because he does like to say that Mike Williams is my Dynasty wide receiver 1. And this is from years ago when he wasn't even performing in the NFL. Kev liked to make that joke. So it's quite funny that things have seemed to turn around, and Kev's now taking Mike Williams. So Yeah, that was great, TK, take those 2 picks. And now it's an interesting one for me. I've just mentioned I was picking between Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. The fact that Mike Evans come back is annoying because I don't really want to take 2 Buccaneers wide receivers.
Look at Paul Pickens' face. You're talking about Mike Evans. He's fuming.
I mean, Mike Evans is probably a little bit too young for Paul's team. I think he's over 30s only in that roster. So I might let Paul have Mike Evans if he's eyeing up Mike Evans, because there's a guy. I feel like I've now got a stud in Chris Godwin, who's a win now piece. I've got a younger piece in Jalen Waddle, but I still think he can obviously produce coming into this season. So I'm now starting to think maybe a little bit more long term, sticking with the wide receiver position. My rookie wide receiver 1 is still on the board. He's had a little bit of knocks against him this offseason, should we say. A little bit of a roller coaster in terms of the emotions when you're a fan of this guy. But Treylon Burks stands out to me. And I know people are fading him, think there's potential bust potential written on all over Treylon Burks. But I absolutely love the talent. I think he's falling in a situation where he's going to get opportunities early. This is kind of feeling like that Jalen Waddle situation where there's not much competition around him in terms of targets. While I know Tennessee is not the most pass-heavy offense, I feel like Treylon Burks, the skill set that he's got, I feel like they're going to use him a lot, utilize him wherever possible. So I'm really excited for Treylon Burks. You could argue maybe it's a little bit early to grab him, but I want to get my guy, to be honest. As I say, he was my wide receiver 1 in my rookie rankings. So yeah, I'm going to take Treylon Burks.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot, Matt. And I think you kind of have to do that with rookies before the season, right? You kind of have to go, you know what? I'm going to take him here because they're just my guy. And I think actually this time next year, Burks will be long gone at this point. You just gotta back your guy and see the potential upside there. And obviously, you know, Burks the second best rookie receiver on that team behind Kyle Phillips, but I'm sure he'll carve out a nice role for himself in that Tennessee offense. So I love the pick there. And Paul, you're back on the board, but sadly, Matt didn't snipe you. But team number 7, that team that has just taken all the good wide receivers. They got Jamar Chase, CeeDee Lamb, and Mike Evans, and they've done you dirty, Paul. So what are you thinking now?
Just imagine being team 7 in a super flex draft and getting to round 6 and you still don't have a QB. You know, it's just talk about QB chicken. That's madness.
Yeah.
Right. So carrying on with my win now team, and there's a couple of I think the wide receivers are a bit of a tear down at the moment. So I'm going to go with another running back. And I'm going to get a stack here with my Tom Brady pick. And I'm going to go for a running back who could potentially finish as an RB1 this season. And that is Leonard Fournette.
Yeah, Leonard Fournette, I think, great pick again. You know, I don't know if it's really talked about that, you know, Leonard Fournette was one of the highest targeted running backs in the league last year. He caught the ball a lot more than, you know, you'd ever expect Leonard Fournette to do. And, you know, obviously they have, you know, brought in the new rookie White to maybe take away a couple of catches from Fournette. But like we talked about earlier, this is Tom Brady's last season. He has literally no reason to start building new relationships with new rookies. He isn't going to stick around. So I can see Fournette having another big season with lots of catches, lots of rushes as well. So Paul, again, I think you're carving this win now team really nicely, and it's back to me on the board, and I'm seeing what I'm really liking what I'm seeing at quarterback, which is obviously the most important position at Superflex. Running back, I'm really happy with having Austin Eckler. I think I can pick up another running back a bit later on in the draft. So I'm really now going to have a look at wide receiver and maybe have a look at tight end if I'm not fully liking what I'm seeing. And I can see here Jerry Jeudy, obviously with Russell Wilson coming in, Jerry Jeudy primed to have a really big year. Garrett Wilson, who was my number 1 rookie receiver coming out of this class, but it's hard to know what's going to happen with the Jets. And who I am seeing, 3 wide receivers there I really like. I can see Marquise Hollywood Brown, I can see Devonta Smith, and I can see Rashad Bateman. So I'm going to take the guy who's at the top of that ADP there, which is Marquise Brown. I think he's going to have a really big year as, the number one receiver out in Arizona until, Hopkins come back. But Hopkins coming back halfway through the season. So I'm going to take Marquise Hollywood Brown, and I'm going to hope
great pick
that one of these good receivers come back. Yeah, I thought you might like that one, Paul, right? Are you? What are your thoughts, obviously, as a Cards fan? What are you thinking Hollywood Brown is going to bring to you guys?
Do you know what? I think he'll do well the first 6 games. Like you said, when Hopkins is not there, he will be the guy that demands the targets, and he will be a great fit. But I could see him sort of fading away a little bit when Hopkins comes back. Because, Hopkins is, he's one of the best NFL wide receivers ever. And he's just, I can't see somebody like Hollywood Brown taking the targets away from Hopkins. And I think, he's probably a good value where you've picked him up at. And he will be somebody, like I said, for the first 6 weeks that will be decent. But I can see him sort of towards the end of the season sort of fading a little bit, and I can see you maybe thinking, I need somebody else to step in as that player now. But next year, who knows? Hopkins is sort of touching the end of his career now. So is he going to be viable next year? Is he still going to be the Deion Hopkins we know, or is he going to go down the same route that Julio Jones has gone? And it's. Yeah. He's got that name, but he's just not got that pace. Can he fight off these safeties and stuff? And we'll see.
Yeah, it's funny you said Julio Jones. That was a name that came right to my mind as well. Is he just going to be that next example of Father Time just catching up to some of these players? Well, we'll have to wait and see. And thankfully. Well, actually, I don't even know about. Thankfully, both of those guys I mentioned have come back to me. So now I've got a dilemma. Do I take Devonta Smith, a guy I absolutely love? I think is, one of the best talents at wide receiver in the league and could really develop into a weapon. Or do I take Rashad Bateman? Also don't love the talent as much as I love Devonta Smith, but I like the situation a whole lot more. And I think because I've decided I want to win now, I'm going to take the situation of Rashad Bateman for this year going forward. He's a wide receiver 1 on that offense. I'm hoping that he's going to have that breakthrough year. I might regret it not taking Devonta Smith. I don't think he's going to come back to me, but I'm pretty happy with Bateman being my wide receiver 3 going into this year. So let's get Rashad Bateman locked up. And Paul, it's right back to you.
So on my last pick, I set a queue. And in my queue was Marquise Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman, Devonta Smith, and Juju Smith-Schuster.
Oh,
I don't know what to do here because I know Juju's not making it back to me. And looking at the ADP, I don't think Devonta Smith's making it back to me. So it's trying to figure out who's the best fit in a win now team. Kev, I don't want to do this to you. I know he's your guy. I know you've got love for him and he could make it to you. But I'm going to have to do it. Sorry, Kev.
Horrible.
Sorry, Kev. I really do love you, mate. And I'm really sorry. My next pick is going to be superstar wide receiver DJ Chark. No.
Hey.
It's Juju Smith-Schuster. Sorry, Kev.
You saying sorry and laughing?
So Juju comes off the board and look at him. He looks uncomfortable. You look at that picture. He doesn't look happy over there. He wanted to come home to Kev. So poor Juju has been locked up and Paul's team stolen away from Kev. And Matt, is that something you were going to do anyway when it got to you?
Juju was not making it to Kev. I'm glad that Paul took the fall there because I was ready to take the fall if need be. Juju was not getting to Kev no matter what. To be honest, you're both sniped there because Bateman he was another guy that I was looking at, and Mags, you went and took him. So I was hoping I could return the favour to Kev, but sadly Paul's kind of done it to me and Kev with the pick of Juju. So yeah, great pick. And then you both talked about Devontae Smith. He was a guy that I was looking at, and even Team 7 managed to get in on the sniper of me. So yeah, that was a rough turn. I set my queue up, and yeah, I thought one of those three were going to come back to me, and they haven't. So now I'm kind of flustered a little bit, kind of panicking what I'm going to do in terms of where I'm going to go. You've just scrolled up on the drop board there, Mags, and I've still only got that one running back. But again, I don't feel like there's value there. AJ Dillon's top of the list. Well, I think he could have a great season with Aaron Jones being more that receiving back. I don't really want to go running back. So again, I think I'm going to look at wide receiver. Not really many names there in terms of at the top of the ADP that stand out that can help me produce this year. And I feel like I'm in that position where I've got good players that can help me this year and also in the future. So it's a tough one. I think what I am going to do, though, I'm going to take a guy that I really liked last year. Kind of suffered with a little bit of an injury, which kind of held him back. And then the Jets went and took another wide receiver, which has kind of dampened his value a little bit. But I think Elijah Moore's been really disrespected at the moment in terms of where he's going in Dynasty. The fact I can get him in the 7th round, I'll be honest, I think he's the Jets wide receiver 1. I think he's going to outproduce Wilson this year. And yeah, I'm more than happy to take him. What's that, my wide receiver 4? If I can lock up a guy like Elijah Moore as my wide receiver 4, doing that all day long. So in the end, quite an easy decision for Elijah Moore.
Yeah, I love that pick. And, anytime anything rhymes so nicely as Elijah Moore, wide receiver 4, that is just, it's got to be good, right? Moore, obviously, just a young phenom last year, come out and just really outproduced even what I think the most avid believers of Elijah Moore thought he could do in that Jets team. So yeah, I really like him going forward. And they've got a really, I keep saying it almost every week, but who would have thought that Jets team is just full of dynasty darlings, right? It is amazing the turnaround they've done there. So I think hopefully the Jets can take a good step forward this year for the sake of everyone's dynasty team. So Kev, we're back to you. Have you recovered since Juju didn't make it back to you, or is it still too soon?
Yeah, well, I knew that Matt were going to take him if it got past Paul, so I wasn't hopeful that he'd make it back to me. I think when I made the pick of Williams, it was on the basis that I wouldn't be getting Juju, which softens the blow a little bit, but for everyone to laugh at me when they're taking him, that hurts. And then Elijah Moore was my top guy that I was hoping fell to me, so a great pick by Matt.
I know Kev too well.
Just on Elijah Moore, I had him ranked higher than any wide receiver in this class, just based on college. So I think, I see him as the alpha, despite him being a 2nd round pick and Garrett Wilson being the 1st round pick. So sadly, a great pick by Matt. But funnily enough, it leaves me with 3 guys in my queue for 2 positions again. So yeah, this guy got slandered by Matt on his analysis then. It's AJ Dillon, and the reason I'm happy taking him here is he's genuinely got a pathway to top 3 season, top 5 season if Aaron Jones goes down. I think he's going to be heavily involved with the lack of weapons in the pass game. They're going to use Jones more there. Dillon's going to be used more on the ground. They're a team I expect to be winning a lot, and it'll get plenty of opportunities in the red zone with Rodgers. He's still young. I think I've waited enough to sort of stick with 1 running back. This guy will fill in as a running back 2. So yeah, I think he can be a top 20 running back this season, but maybe higher. And then after this season, someone that, it could be anything really. If he ends up getting Derrick Henry workload, it could be Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
But catch passes as well. Second guy, really tricky. I can either go for a stack with Ayuk, with Trey Lance, or I can take a QB. I don't like to mess about with QBs because in Superflex leagues, the value is, when you're trying to trade for them, it's ridiculous in some leagues, to be honest. Like, terrible. A couple of guys there, a couple of older guys. Matt Ryan, pretty solid. Jared Goff, I think he's massively underappreciated in dynasty circles, but I'm going to take Jameis Winston as my QB3. I just feel that he can win a number of ways. He can be a high pass volume guy. Last season he showed he can be a sort of taking his shots and keeping it as ball control type offense. He's got the best weapons of his career in New Orleans so far. He's 28. He's got plenty of years left in him. He's going to be tied down for the next couple of seasons in a job, which is the main thing you're looking for in Dynasty. So, yeah, Jameis Winston, eating the W.
Yeah, two really good picks there. AJ Dillon, obviously, like into that workload of Jones a bit last year, and probably will continue to have the same sort of role going into this year. And you'd think AJ Dillon will increase his touchdown numbers as well, just the kind of frame he has and the body he has. You'd think those touchdown numbers might go up a little bit. So I like AJ Dillon there at that value. And then, Jameis Winston showed last year that he can, keep his head, keep his cool, not just implode at any kind of first sign of weakness. So I expect him to just keep going forward next year. And now that there's no, Taysom Hill, Willie, won't he play, weird overhang over him, I think that'll really help him just kind of calm down a bit and solidify his role. So I like that pick there as well, Kevin. And Matt, we're right back to you, back on the board after what have you gone? 1, 2, 3, 4 wide receiver in a row stretch. Are you still thinking receiver, or you got to tilt to somewhere else?
I mean, I wouldn't be against it. I honestly wouldn't be against taking a wide receiver, but there's a guy still on the board. I was looking at Jameis Winston actually. Obviously, Kev again knows me too well. But I'm sure we have played out this exact same situation when we did a zone mock draft on the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show. I was waiting for QB3, waited a little bit too long, and Kev sniped me with I believe it was Jameis Winston. So yeah. Kind of done it against me here and taken that guy that I think he stood out of all the quarterbacks left. He was the one that was really standing out. I felt like was value. But with Kev making that pick, it's kind of made my decision a little bit easier. As I say, wide receiver is definitely tempting. There's a guy right at the top of the ADP who I love in Jameson Williams. Kev's got a little smirk on his face. Kev knows how much I love Williams, but I'm not going to take another wide receiver. I've taken 4 now already. I'm going to address another position. And a position that I've not even addressed at all yet. I'm going to look at tight end. There's a tight end that's standing out to me. There's somebody that I think's a tier above all the guys that are left. Kev would probably argue that's Dalton Schultz, but I disagree. It's Dallas Goedert. I absolutely love Dallas Goedert. There's no secret to it. Kev knows I love him. Kev's the Eagle fan as well. I think Kev likes Dallas Goedert as well. But I think he stands out to me. Obviously, the situation's changed a little bit with AJ Brown coming in. Kind of muddies the water a touch, but at the same time, we saw that connection that Jalen Hurts and Dallas Goedert had together last year. I think in terms of talent, I don't think there's a tight end left on the board that's got that talent that Dallas Goedert's got. That connection, as I say, that we saw last year. I think he's an absolute stud. I believe it was top 5 after Zach Ertz left last year for the remainder of the season. So we know the upsides there, and I think he can even improve on that. So, yeah, I'm happy to take my tight end one day, and Dallas got it kind of reaching a little bit in terms of the ADP, but locking in a stud tight end, I feel.
Yeah, I think it's great. Dallas Goedert is in that sort of second tier of tight ends that you're kind of happy to take at this range. I think after the second tier, once you get into tier 3, I'll take him at the end of my draft. So I think Goddard's certainly in that second tier behind those top 3 super elite guys. So I love that pick there, Matt. And Paul, we're back onto you. Sort of an even spread of positions. Don't think you've got a tight end locked up at the minute, but you're fairly even spread across the other positions. So what are you thinking now?
I was thinking tight end, and Matt made it really easy for me because he left me the better of the 2 tight ends. Isn't that right, Kev?
Well,
isn't that right, Kev?
I've got Goddard above Schultz in my rankings, but same tier.
You've changed. You're a changed man.
I've just changed him when you took Juju. I changed my rankings.
You turn into a homer all of a sudden, you know. As I think any team needs a top tight end, and I think we're getting to the end of I wouldn't say the top tier, but the second tier of tight ends, and it gets to a bit of a tight end dead zone after this. So yeah, I'm gonna lock in Dalton Schultz, my tight end 5, by the way.
Yeah, Dalton Schultz. I mean, massive year last year. The only kind of pause I have on Dalton Schultz is he just last year's Robert Tonyan, or is he just last year's I can't remember the guy's name. That's how impressive he is. Thomas? What was he called? Someone Thomas from the
Logan
Commanders.
Thomas.
That's the guy, right?
Matt's
Is
favorite.
is he just Logan Thomas, or is he just, that same flash in the pan tight end that we see every year? Time will tell, but he's on a great offense, and he did really well last year. So I do think he will do well again, but that's my only pause about Dalton Schultz is we've seen those flash in the pan guys a couple of times before, and is he just the next iteration of that? And it's left me in a bit of a pickle here, because I'm seeing a lot of guys I like, I'm seeing a lot of guys I don't like. So I thought running back was somewhere I might address, but this is running back dead zone, apart from maybe one person who I might come back to later. There are a couple of wide receivers I like, and a few tight ends I like, but I think I could wait maybe on those. I am torn here between two people. I'm torn between Jameson Williams, who obviously we talked about earlier, and I can't help but look at my guy Sky Moore, right? I just can't help myself. I know everyone's going to call me a homer, but Sky Moore has the chance to be Patrick Mahomes' number 1 receiver. Sorry, Kev, but he's got a chance to take that role, and I mean, I just can't pass that up. Patrick Mahomes' number 1 receiver is going to be a wide receiver 1. I think that is fairly guaranteed, and Sky Moore's got a 50-50 shot at it this year. It's between him and Juju, and Juju's on a 1-year contract. He's got to play really well to be signed on. So I'm liking taking the risk. I said earlier, I like a gamble. So I'm going to take Sky Moore here in round number 8. And I'm going to hope the guy I was thinking of at running back comes back to me. So I'm not even going to say his name out loud. And he has come back to me. That is good. It was not Clyde Edwards-Helaire, because I'm not that much of a homer.
You did so well with Marquise Brown, and then you picked Sky Moore.
I had to. I have to get a sprinkling of homer in there, right?
You peaked.
I peaked at Marquise Brown. The running back I was talking about is everyone's flavor of the month. It's Dameon Pierce, right? Wow. Dameon Pierce at the minute, who has got that job absolutely nailed on, locked in. He's the only guy there that I feel confident. Maybe Chase Edmonds, but maybe Matt might talk about Chase Edmonds in a bit. We never know. I'm going to lock in Dameon Pierce, because I'm super confident he's going to be the starter there, and he's going to have a pretty good rookie season. He's got the youth. He's got the size. Let's get Dameon Pierce locked in as my running back 2. So Paul, that's right back to you. What are you thinking? You're just annoyed I took Sky Moore. You wanted Sky Moore, right? That's why you.
Oh, definitely. So going on to Dameon Pierce, I actually seen a trade go down earlier where a guy sold Dameon Pierce and Christian Watson for AJ Brown, straight up.
Ooh,
you
lucky guy.
Here's a tip, okay? Stop buying Dameon Pierce for first a ridiculous amount of money, a ridiculous amount of picks and value and everything. Just stop doing it, okay? Stop doing it. Unless you've got him, and then sell him for everything you can, okay?
Yeah, I mean, I like Dameon Pierce. I just took him, but if I can get AJ Brown, I'm taking that all day.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're gonna flip him and Christian Watson for AJ Brown straight up. Everyone's going to smash accept on that straight away. And the fact that people are doing it is just madness to me. But right, so I need to lock in my third QB.
Ooh.
And I'm torn between 2. And that is...
Has by the way, Team 7, by the way, still no quarterbacks off the board. That is a nice little
Bold.
5th member of this draft that we're enjoying right now. Team 7.
Is that Ali?
The grill's having a great time. So I'm torn between Ryan Tannehill and Matt Ryan.
I wouldn't be.
Why not?
I'll not say anything.
No, go on. I want to hear your opinion now.
Put your neck out, Mags. Wait.
Well,
Davis Mills. I think one is going to be starting in the NFL next year, and one is not. It's maybe a slight hot take.
Okay. So I'll make my pick now, and then I'll let you tell me if I was wrong.
Okay.
Or whether I was right.
Oh, I can say wrong anyway then. Oh no, you absolutely smashed it. Well done, Matt Ryan. Yeah, I think he would be my pick. I know, Matt, Kev, you thinking Matt Ryan over Tannehill there?
Easily.
Yeah, definitely.
I don't think it's as easy as you guys make out. I think Ryan Tannehill is a great QB, and actually, I think I remember somebody saying before about his contract and actually what he's going to cost the Titans to get next year. He's going to be the starting QB next year because he's going to cost them so much money that it's just not worth them cutting him or anything, So I think they're both playing next year, and I think we all do this every year. Where Ryan Tannehill is actually a really solid QB, and he gets it done all the time. But Matt Ryan behind that O line in Indy is just that's a steal to me. But talk about getting the QBs from about 5, maybe 10 years ago. Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, and Matt Ryan. What a lineup that is!
You're just gathering all the MVPs up, right? It's everyone who's ever won the MVP award. Just gather them all up.
This is like a late noughties wet dream, really, isn't it?
Love it. So Matt, that puts you back onto the board. You got your tight end locked up. You got loads of receivers. What are you thinking now?
Yeah, I think, Mags, you've kind of exposed me a little bit. You mentioned Chase Edmonds. When you spoke about taking a running back and a guy standing out to you, I was convinced that you were going to take Edmonds, to be honest.
I almost did.
I'm so glad that you didn't, because I'm sure you all know, if you follow me on Twitter or listen to the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show, that I'm huge on Chase Edmonds. I think he's in for a great year this year. There were some wide receivers left that I would have been tempted. Obviously, you took Sky Moore, Brandon Ayuk as well. If either of those guys, even Allen Robinson as well, if any of those guys fell to me, it'd have been hard to resist taking those wide receivers. But yeah, I think I'm going to address my running back needs now, and a guy in Chase Edmonds who I think is going to absolutely smash this year, being the lead back over in Miami. We know that style, that scheme that they're going to now have, that 49ers style running back scheme, I think that's going to favour Edmonds perfectly. The ability that he has, the traits that he has, it's going to fit that like an absolute dream. So more than happy to take him. That receiving upside as well. And we forget that he's probably one of the better receiving running backs in the NFL as well. So I just feel the upside's there, and I feel like he's going to keep this job. He's on a 2-year contract, so got that little bit of security as well, knowing that he should be there next year as well. And yeah, I'm super excited for him, and I feel like his value is only going to increase. So happy to take Edmonds as my RB2.
Yeah, I thought you might pick him if he come back round to you. And I didn't take him, Matt, because I could never do that to you.
Oh, thanks, Mike.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not like these other guys here. I'm nice,
and I had to take him down because I know Kev wouldn't have the same sentiment.
Well, he's got a chance to take some of your other guys now, because he's back on the clock. He's got 2 picks in a row. Kev, who's standing out to you there?
I mean, just based on the roster build that I've got currently, it's looking like I'm going to be hitting a lot of wide receivers now. I've got my 3 QBs, 2 running backs, tight end locked in, and only 2 wide receivers. So if there was a value at QB, I'd potentially consider taking a 4th QB. But I just feel wide receivers on the board, there's a lot I like. When I first started the draft, I thought it'd be sort of a productive struggle, a rebuild type, but I'm pretty confident with my lineup so far. I feel that it can contend now with getting sort of a second running back and 3 solid QBs. So that's kind of changed my mindset a little bit. There is a couple of stacks there. There's Michael Thomas with Winston. That's potentially he's 29 years old, but I still see him as the main man over there. There's a guy I love, or I do always take with consensus, Adam Thielen, to pair up with Kirk Cousins again. I like the process of taking the second receiver on high-powered quality offenses, because if Jefferson goes down, Thielen, absolute monster.
Do you remember a draft you went into, Kev, where you didn't come out with Adam Thielen? every draft I've done with you, you've taken Adam Thielen every single time.
It'll probably be in a rookie draft. No, I don't have 100% exposure, but it's pretty close. Probably a few orphans I took on where he wasn't on the squad already. So, and then the other 2 guys who really make this tough decision is Brandon Cooks. He's consistently undervalued, and Christian Kirk, who is on Matt's radar if he makes it past me. So, it's really tricky.
That's a smile that he. Oh, yeah.
I don't even have to hide it. Me and Kev know each other. Honestly, we know each other so well that I'm not even shocked that Kev knows it. It was expected.
Yeah, I think with my changing mindset that I now think this is a team that can compete. I'm just going to take the 2 guys highest on my board. Brandon Cooks, I've got the highest. I just think he's guaranteed to be a top 24 wide receiver in a worst case scenario. With a bit of luck, a bit of touchdown luck if Davis Mills takes a step forward, even higher. And I've got to do it, and I've got to take Adam Thielen. I mean, it gives me a stack, first of all, but I just feel that if you're getting your redraft head on for this season only, you can easily see him being a top 15 wide receiver this season. And what's to say he can't do it for even longer than this season?
Yeah, I completely agree. And, a lot of people talk about Adam Thielen like, oh, there's going to be a touchdown regression. I'm like, why? Like, he's so heavily targeted in the red zone. He's so good in the red zone. Why would there be a touchdown regression when that's arguably what he's the very best at doing, like, is scoring touchdowns when in the red zone? So I don't really see a touchdown regression coming at all. And like you said, if you're going to win now, you want those touchdowns, you want those points, you want Adam Thielen, and you got him. So love that pick there, Kevin. Cool. It wouldn't be right if you didn't take Adam Thielen in this draft. So I love it. So Matt, we're back to you, and your guy didn't come off the board there. Is Kev predicting the future? Are you going over to Jacksonville?
I mean, I've had 2 picks now, and my last pick, Mags, you kind of predicted it, and this pick, Kev's kind of ruined the suspense again. Yeah, it's got to be Christian Kirk for me. If you'd listened to our show, the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty show, he was my wildcard pick. He's the guy that I think is going to have the biggest increase in his Dynasty value. I've just spoke about the fact that I've taken Trevor Lawrence early. I'm a big believer in his talent, and if he's going to take that step forward, one of his weapons has got to make that step with him, or he's not going to make that step, is he? So I'm fully in on Christian Kirk. I've been in on him all the way back to when he was with Paul's Cardinals as well. I was a big fan. It was a shame he never really got that opportunity behind guys like Larry Fitzgerald in the slot, and then obviously DeAndre Hopkins when he arrived never really got that chance to be that true number 1. And I feel like he's clearly got that chance now in Jacksonville. And as I say, tied to a young quarterback who I think has got all the talent in the world. We've yet to quite see it, and I'm hoping both these guys together can unlock each other really, and both take giant strides forward. And in terms of dynasty value, you've got to love it, haven't you? So yeah, it's an easy pick for me. Glad that Kev was nice enough to let me get my guy. So I'm more than happy to take Christian Kirk.
Wow, look at that, Matt! You got me doing you a solid and Kev doing you a solid. This is if you don't come out of this draft with the best team, it's a bit embarrassing, actually. So
either that or I'm far too predictable. One of the two.
So yeah, obviously, perfect there, excellent pick there. The new guy over at the Jags, and Paul, we're back to you, fresh off taking your last quarterback, Matt Ryan. So who's standing out to you there? As actually, breaking news: Team 7 has taken their first quarterback, Kenny Pickett. Wow. A guy that's not even going to play this year, so they still can't start a quarterback. So that's great. So Paul, you're back on the clock here. What's standing out to you? What are you thinking?
So I'm thinking of wide receiver because I've only actually picked up 2 wide receivers so far. And looking at the wide receivers, there's one that I really like that stands out for me, and he's a potential to do well in his new offense, and that is Robert Woods. I've always liked Robert Woods. I always think he's been a bit undervalued, and I think he's somebody that'll do well at the Titans. And yeah, Robert Woods.
Yeah, Robert Woods. I think that's a great pick. That's someone who I kind of have my eye on as well. Though Robert Woods, I think he was. I don't see why he won't come out and be like the number one target, at least for the first little while, as Burks gets used to the system there. Robert Woods, seasoned veteran, always pretty good. Hopefully he's fine and healthy after his big injury. So I think that's a nice pick there, Paul. And I'm back on the board. I can see a couple of players I like here, and end around 10. That's kind of when things get a little bit dicey usually, especially at that running back position. There is 2 running backs I like there. There is 1 tight end standing out to me as well. So I think I'm going to take the guy that is at the top of the tight end list who I like there, and that's Cole Kmet. And the reason I like Cole Kmet is, he was a guy who was 8th in the league in targets last year, but he was nowhere near tight end 8 because he somehow scored 0 touchdowns, which is unbelievable for a tight end. I don't expect him to end up with 0 touchdowns again. And the weird thing is about Cole Kmet, the 7 guys that got more targets than him last year in the league were tight ends 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 overall for points. So targets mean points usually if he scores some touchdowns. I don't expect him to have a freak year again where he doesn't score touchdowns. So I think I'm getting fairly safe tight end 1 for the next few years with Cole Kmet locked in here. So I'll get him put in. And I'm hoping one of those running backs I like the look of is going to come back to me. Devin Singletary was one of them. So sad to see him go. But the other guy there is Ramondre Stevenson, who I think is going to, I do hate taking Patriots running backs, but Ramondre Stevenson, I think, has the ability to beat out Harris there and really secure himself that number 1 running back role with, it's nice that they've got a competition for a fan to call the offense every week. So he'll be nice for him to be in there running back for whoever's calling the plays that week. So let's get, do I want Rashad Penny? I've just seen him. No, I'm going to stick to Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to take Ramondre Stevenson. I'm going to stick to my gut. And Paul, we're back to you.
Didn't you say last night that you think Bill Belichick's going to be calling the plays?
Yeah, I said I wouldn't be shocked if Bill just calls
him a genius as well. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think you're all in on this Patriots, mate. I think you're all in this year.
Yeah, you got it. You can't knock old Bill. Like he's seen some things, right?
He's definitely seen some things. Right. So to me. So I'm actually going to take a Patriots wide receiver as well.
Whoa!
And that is Jacoby Myers, who I think is the number 1 wide receiver in that. I wouldn't say high-powered offense. A low-powered, an energy-saving bulb. Takes a while to brighten. Gets there eventually, but yes, I'm going to take Jacoby Myers as my wide receiver 4, I think it is.
Yeah, I like that. At this stage in like round number 11, you just got to be looking for those guys who you think are going to be the top guys in their team. And I think we've seen that with Stevenson and Myers. And Matt, we're right back to you here. Who's standing out to you in round number 11?
Yeah, I mean, if you could see me, then I've just crumpled in my chair because you took Ramondre Stevenson, and then I was more than confident that the only other running back that I had any amount of interest in would fall to me, and that's Rashad White. And sadly, Team 6 decided to spoil that excitement for me. So yeah, I'm now in a sticky situation at running backs. I've only got 2. I had obviously those 2 in mind, and I'm now in that stage where I don't really want to go running back here. That I just feel like there's not a great deal of value in terms of the running back. But then we're at that stage of the draft where there's not much value in terms of any position. We're starting to get to that rough part of the draft now where you're probably just taking the guys that you're higher on than consensus maybe. I do need that QB3. I feel like there's still 2 or 3 that I wouldn't mind taking as my QB3, and I think I can maybe wait another round or 2 to take them. So despite that, I think I'm going to take a running back. I need a running back, as I say. There's nobody really jumping out to me in the wide receiver position, so I'm going to go running back. It's going to pain me. Mags, you kind of touched upon it. I think Rashad Penny. If I'm going for a team that can compete now, he's probably the one guy that stands out. There is another guy just below him in the running back ADP that you can probably all see in Michael Carter. We all know my love for Michael Carter, but no, I'm going to take Rashad Penny. I think he's got that workhorse role. We know Kenneth Walker's struggling with a hernia, I believe. We're not really 100% sure on how that's going to play out. We don't know how far away from returning he is. So with that in mind, knowing how much Pete Carroll loves to run the ball, I'll take running back. I think it's going to get plenty of opportunity. Hopefully he can stay healthy. That's the one thing that's always going against Rashad Penny. But myself and Kev, we're both Rashad Penny troopers, I think. So happy to take him as my RB3 and hope for the best this year.
Yeah, I think if you're getting like any player at this round, you're just happy just to take him just for that upside, and Penny's got a whole ton of it. So yeah, you can't hit that pick at all, Matt. And Kev, we're right back to you. Was Rashad Penny coming off the board if he made it to you, or was other people on your mind?
I mean, it's going to be sound like great minds alike, but when it got to your pick, 2 guys that were on my list were Ramondre and Rashad White. So yeah, it's not a shock when it make it to me, but it would have been nice to be in a league with not very smart individuals. Being honest, I've not got anybody in my queue.
Oh no!
So it's
winging it.
Could be a shot in the dark, yeah. I just think
DJ Chug.
I'm at, by the way, can I just say, because I'm sharing my screen, I'm at a distinct disadvantage because anyone I put in my queue, you guys can all see it. So I can't do that.
We're not paying attention to that, Max.
Put whoever you want in it.
No, I love that. I think one you've read my mind. So I think another guy that went just before that I had mine was Michael Gallup, but I'm just going to stick along that same theme and the fact that I think the Cowboys offense, it's got plenty of targets up for grabs. I don't see them all going to CD Lamb. Michael Gallup's going to have a slow start to the season, you'd imagine. I do love Dalton Schultz, but is he going to get 150 targets? Unlikely. So I'm going to keep on this. I'm going to keep with the Cowboys and take Jalen Tolbert to begin with. I just feel like it's a great situation. It was a prospect I really liked. It gives me balance at wide receiver in terms of age as well, with having a couple of older guys, Adam Thielen, etc. So I'm going to lock him in for my first pick. And then second pick, it is a bit of a reach at wide receiver. Well, actually, no, it's not. I do see DJ Chark down there, but it's not him. I'm just gonna because it's my bench spot. I can play for a bit of upside, and I do always trust myself and my ability to sort of get by with carrying players if needs be with injury suspensions. Suspensions being the key word. I'm going to take Calvin Ridley.
Nice.
Just feel that if I can get through this season, it's going to be mega upside next season to go for the repeat.
Yeah, I like Calvin Ridley there. I think there's just so much value in someone who you know for a fact won't be there in round 11 next year, right? If he's playing, he'll be gone. So you're taking him now. You know that he'll take a hit this year, but coming up next year, same thing with Deshaun Watson. If they're there, the talent is there. The talent is better than that position they're being taken at. So I think it's always valuable to get a few of these guys on your roster, so your roster just looks better this time next year. So I love both of those picks there, Kevin. Matt, we're right back to you. You've just addressed the running back position in the last pick. Are you doubling up or are you thinking elsewhere?
I think I'm at that stage now where I've got a pretty balanced roster, and I've got what is it now? 5 wide receivers have I got now? Yeah, 5 wide receivers, 3 running backs, the tight end, and 2 quarterbacks. So pretty balanced roster overall, I think. Kind of frees me up. I don't feel like I need to particularly target a certain position. So I'm going to just go for the value, I think. And while, again, quarterback, we know it's super flex. We know quarterbacks are valuable, but I feel like I can still potentially wait a little bit on quarterback. So I'm going to look at the wide receiver position. A couple of guys that are standing out to me. David Bell's a rookie that I'm really high on. I feel like his ADP is creeping up a little bit. Kind of thought I could maybe wait a little bit longer to get somebody like David Bell. But there's also another wide receiver that I really liked last year. Didn't really have a great season. And I feel like people are just out on him. Kev's laughing because Kev probably knows. I mean, I'm like I'm like a book when it comes to Kev. He knows exactly what I'm going for. I feel like a guy that he's undersized, and I feel like that's being held against him. I really like him. I feel like Paul probably quite likes him as well. It's Rondale Moore. I feel like the talent. I'm a big fan of the talent. I understand his concerns with the size. We've seen it. Kev has this issue as well. We love these smaller guys. I'm thinking back to Curtis Samuel. Kev was a big fan of Curtis Samuel. He vowed never to make the same mistake again. Well, Kev, I'm going to make the same mistake. I'm going to trust this guy. I believe in the talent. Yeah, I think Rondale Moore, the opportunity that he could have there if he's healthy for week 1, obviously with Hopkins not being available, if he can really cement a role now, Christian Kirk not being there as well, I feel like he can get in that slot, maybe get some carries as well out the backfield. I feel like there's potential upside there in Rondale Moore. So, yeah, I'm going to grab Rondale Moore.
Love it. You got Paul Picken throwing his hands up in the air after he said that. Paul, were you thinking Rondale Moore?
Yes, I've got a bit of a problem.
He can't even speak. He's
just wiping the tears away there.
Dry your eyes, mate. So I've got a bit of a problem with drafting Rondale Moore because apparently I have to do it in every single draft I go in, and he is my most owned player. And Rich Coolin, who I've done quite a lot of leagues with, even said to me, he said, you need to stop drafting Rondale Moore. And I'm like, I just can't. I get to this point, and for the exact same reasons that you were saying there, Matt, you just get to this point, and you're just like, he's got that upside. I'm very jealous of that pick, and now I'm going to go back to the drawing board. And the fact that my second pick, who was in my queue, was Patterson, Cordell Patterson. So I'm not sure about that. But I have just seen somebody else that I really like. Oh yeah, and this one's for our fellow co-host Mags, and that's Khalil Herbert from the Chicago Bears.
Oh, nice.
Good pick. So Hannah, that was for you.
Yeah, Khalil Herbert, one of Hannah's favorites. For my money, David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. The way that Herbert looked last year, it looks like you're actually kind of splitting hairs as to who's the better, overall running back. Montgomery's definitely got that experience edge, but I think Herbert with a bit more experience could end up surpassing what Montgomery's done in the league. So I think Herbert is great. I could see him taking over that role by the end of the year, but I mean, the Bears suck so much, so it's going to be hard to see what's going to happen over there. So I like that pick of Khalil Herbert. I'm back on the board. There's a couple of quarterbacks here that I do like. Obviously, Davis Mills, one of my wild card picks or I picked him to rise in ADP at quarterback. So Davis Mills, obviously, I'm a big fan of, and I'm just going to have a little peek at running back to see if there's anyone who's there. Like Melvin Gordon and Zamir White stand out to me. Melvin Gordon, I think, will continue to split carries going into next year. It's always good to have, I decided at the very start I want to win now. You need running backs for that because these guys will go down. So I'm thinking Melvin Gordon. I'm thinking Zamir White there as well. And none of these receivers really stand out to me for the kind of build I'm making. Tyler Boyd, maybe, but he's wide receiver 3. Wan'Dale Robinson, I do quite like, but how much would he really do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Melvin Gordon because I think he'll score quite well again this year with a 50-50 split with Javonte, and we'll see who comes right back around to me. And Davis Mills just got absolutely gutted. So I can't take my guy Davis Mills. Is there anyone else here? No, I'll just take Jacoby Brissett later. I'd be sad. So I'll go. I'll go Zamir White here. Again, Josh Jacobs, last year of his contract. The path is clear for Zeus to take that role on as his own. He could even get a couple of carries this year, but with the pick of White, I'm kind of setting my team up a little bit further down the line as well for next year when we're really firing on all cylinders with Deshaun Watson back for the full season, Zamir White locked in as a starter. So I'm thinking Melvin Gordon this year. Zamir White takes Melvin Gordon's place next year in the squad quite easily. So I'll go on running back 3 in a row just to make sure I've got that position really solid. And I don't really like the value anywhere else. So I'm going to take Zamir White and pass it back to you, Paul.
So when I was looking through the running backs, I stumbled across another running back that I kind of like the look of. I think Darrell Henderson is tipped to share some of the workload with Cam Akers. I think Cam Akers was carrying a knock through August. They didn't say what the knock was, but he was carrying some kind of knock. So and he's coming back off that injury. I know he made it back towards the end of last season and in the playoffs, but I don't think he looked that great. So I'm gonna take a risk that maybe this knock is a little bit more than they think it is, and that when they say he's going to share the workload, that he sees plenty of targets, and somebody this far down in the draft that's going to see some form of work in that Rams offense is a big player to me. So I'm going to go for Darrell Henderson.
Yeah, love that pick, mate. And I think you're a brave person to be drafting Cam Akers this year because we've literally never seen a running back come off an Achilles injury like his and do well. The last guy that did it, that came back from the injury, was Marlon Mack, who isn't good enough to be on one of the worst teams in the league. So it's not a great sign for Cam Akers. He came back really early, which was miraculous, but maybe that wasn't the best thing for him, actually. Maybe he should have stayed put and stayed on the sidelines. So I don't know. We'll see what happens, but I think Henderson's got a good role carved out for him. And Matt, that brings us right back to you. You're on the board in round number 13.
Yeah, I'll start by saying you three have been brilliant in not sniping me. I can't say the same for the computer here. Team 7 taking Trey McBride. I had my own Trey McBride, a young tight end. Obviously, not expecting too much from him in the upcoming season, but in terms of talent, I think he's an absolute stud. So I'd have loved to have taken Trey McBride. Sadly, not to be. So now I feel like the value is still pushing me towards wide receiver. I know I've only got 3 running backs. I've still yet to get my QB3, but I think I'm willing to take one more wide receiver because beyond that, I feel like I can afford to avoid the position. And the one thing we always say, one of the biggest, I think, tips in terms of fantasy is trying to get pieces of high-powered offenses. There's a guy here that's still on a really high-powered offense in the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, he is behind T. Higgins and Chase, Jamar Chase, who obviously we know are studs, but as I say, if you can get a piece of a high-powered offense, I think you've got to do it. If Kev mentioned it, you say it with the wide receiver 2s, they can step into that wide receiver 1 position. Well, it's the same for wide receiver 3s. If one of the top guys goes down, he's going to see a massive increase in opportunity. So I think Tyler Boyd's a great value here, getting a piece of a really high-powered offense. as I say, I've taken plenty of wide receivers, but I feel like this is just a guy that I can slot in if times become desperate, if I need that flex play. I feel like Tyler Boyd is just a perfect fit. So happy to take Tyler Boyd here as what's that, wide receiver 7 of mine, is it?
Love it. Oh, can I just say, Paul Picken, you're muted and we're not getting those sounds anymore.
I'm doing it on my phone. I'm doing it on my phone.
Do you have the tab open on your computer?
What tab? The sleeper tab? No.
Yeah. Skeptical.
I'm doing it on my phone.
An hour and 40 in and we find the culprit.
I'll stay muted and I'll just hold up signs, shall I?
But I'll be very impressive if you can keep up. That'd be good. No, don't worry about it. We're back on. We got Kev back on the clock. Kev, who's standing out for you?
Well, I've got 3 in my queue, so that's nice.
Oh.
It's good that there's some players I like at this pick, other than my last 2 picks were players I didn't really like. I've got a running back, a wide receiver, and tight end, so it's literally the floor's open. Running back's Kenny Gainwell. I wouldn't be shocked if he's the RB1 for the Eagles this season. Not got an Eagles player on my roster yet either, so got to be a homer like you lot. Wide receiver, Julio Jones. With the Ridley suspension and Talbot being a rookie, I think it will be wise for me to have a win now piece in my starting lineup. Again, a great offense. Godwin should start the season, but maybe we'll be slow to begin. I think Julio is going to look really well as the move tight end in that offense. And the other guy is my wildcard selection from our show, David Njoku at tight end. I think we've had about 18 tight ends come off so far, 17, 18. I've got him tight end 11. I think that's crazy value. When Watson hits the lineup, his value is going to skyrocket. He's getting paid top 5 money.
Yeah.
He's younger than loads of tight ends. He's like 26 years old.
Yeah.
It's really tough because I wish I could have 3 picks.
That'll be very good, right? Just 3 in a row and then just every round, 3 picks.
Indeed. So I think just logically thinking, trying to win the league, the position I think I'm weakest at currently is my wide receiver spots. Julio Jones is the pick. Quite funny because him and Ridley used to be in Atlanta together. I don't think either will be in Atlanta. Well, Julio might be retired after this season, but
Yeah.
I think Ridley end up moving along. So yeah, we'll see who I'm at home with tomorrow now. I'm just seeing Paul's message.
Paul, it's okay, Paul. We forgive you.
Am I going to be a homer to Gainwell or to Njoku? And it is literally a coin flip. So
I was about to say I don't have a coin. I could actually flip a coin for you, but I don't have one.
Let's just do it. David Njoku. Stay on brand.
Nice. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, and kind of you teased Njoku all the way back at the Kyle Pitts pick as well. So nice that we've come all the way back round and you have taken Njoku as well. So I love that. And listen to that, the sound of silence between picks. That is just lovely. Matt, that brings us back to you. And what are you thinking here? Is your team, like you said, nicely well balanced? So you just think I'm taking the best player available now, or are you taking best upside available, or what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think like we spoke about, I've only got the 3 running backs. I've got to do something about the running back position. While I don't think there's great value potentially at this spot, I feel like I need to, if I'm going to make any kind of effort of competing this year, I've got to take a running back. And Kev mentioned him. It's kind of funny. You might as well just add one of us on because we basically think alike all the way through this draft. So, yeah, he mentioned Kenneth Gainwell, guy that when given the opportunity last year really showed out. We know Miles Sanders struggling with injuries, and even when he has been healthy, he's shown flashes, but yet to really hold down that RB1 spot. And I feel like when Kenneth Gainwell came in, he was just as good as what Miles Sanders was, to be honest. I think there could be a potential great opportunity for Gainwell this year. Like I've mentioned, I think the Eagles got a great O-line, probably one of the the best in the league, to be honest. So that's just another positive to add on to Kenneth Gainwell. The receiving upside as well, it all ties in nicely. Jalen Hurts, he's obviously a rushing quarterback. You sometimes think, oh no, they're going to steal the touchdowns, but at the same time, those rushing quarterbacks, they open up the lanes for the running backs as well, because opposing defenses just don't know who to keep an eye on. So yeah, I think it's a smash pick for me. Kenneth Gainwell, thank you, Kev, for not taking him, and I'll happily scoop him up as my RB4.
Yeah,
so much love,
Kenny. Yeah, exactly. Again, just people just loving you tonight, man. That is so nice. apart from team 6 and 7,
6 and 7,
who've had enough for you. That's a great pick there with Gainwell, and hopefully the Eagles kind of sort out what they're doing and don't play Jordan Howard and Boston Scott ahead of Kenny Gainwell this year. Well, that was odd, right? So hopefully he'll get his play time this year. And Paul, we're back to you. You don't have to hold up a sign. It's okay. We'll let you speak.
So I've got 2 players in my queue, and I'm going to play the board a little bit and hope that the second one makes it back to me. But
okay.
I'm shooting for a bit of upside now, and kind of like what Matt was saying, you always want pieces of a high-powered offense. So for me, at this moment in time, MVS is a smash play for me. He's the deep ball threat, and Pat Mahomes can air it out for fun, So as long as MVS is going to get down that field, I think Pat Mahomes will keep doing it. And if he can do what he was doing with Aaron Rodgers, I think he's great value at this point, and could be a great flex play for me. So and we're going to play the board and see if the other guy makes it back to me. So don't you take him, Mags, okay?
Now I need to try and get inside your head here, right? Let's not focus on my team, and let's think about Paul and see if I can get who he's thinking. No, I'll do the sensible thing.
If I just end the call, you got it right, and I'm really annoyed. Okay.
Okay. All right. Let's have a look. Right. It's not. It might be Wan'Dale Robinson. It might be DJ Chark. It's probably not Chuba Hubbard. It's not McCall Hardman because he's terrible. It's probably not Jelani Woods. Wow, this is. I'm finding it tough to get into your head here, Paul. Oh, I do like some of these people down here, though, so I'll not say too much. I am tempted here because we do have quarterbacks sitting here that are solid or reliable, like a Jared Goff, who I know Kev likes, and we got Desmond Ridder, who I know Paul. Oh, hold on, we got Desmond Ridder, who I know Paul likes, is there. So I could take Desmond Ridder because that might be Paul's pick, but I'll leave it. I'll leave it to find out because I'm not going to go that direction. I'm going, guys. I'm going to say it. I'm going to go with DJ Chark, because I think at round number 14, I think that is really good value for DJ Chark on a team. I mean, Matt, you talked earlier about that Eagles offensive line. The only offensive line in the NFL that can rival that, I think, is the one at the Lions. So Jared Goff's going to be super protected. DJ Chark's going to have time to get open. I mean, Jared Goff might not be able to lump the ball downfield, but he can. He's an NFL starting quarterback. People always talk about he can't throw the ball downfield. He can throw the ball downfield. Like, he's starting in the NFL. He can do it. So I think DJ Chark and Jared Goff might sneakily have a pretty good season. And with Williams out for the foreseeable future, yeah, I like DJ Chark for the start of the season. So I'm going to lock him in. I don't think this is Paul's guy, but I've got to take my guy. So I'll take DJ Chark, and I'll see who comes back around to me, actually, because I forgot I had another pick.
You still got another pick.
I still got one pick. It wasn't DJ Chark.
No.
I didn't think so. I think it's Desmond Ridder, but I don't know if I'm going to take Desmond Ridder. Let's have a look and see who's at tight end. Tyler Higbee, Evan Ingram, Robert Tonyan there. Nothing too much happening there. Running back, Jamal Williams, not a bad shot. And then it's just like the land of the dead at running back here at the minute, although there may be some upside for later on in the draft. I'm going to stick with wide receiver to try and build that wide receiver core. And I'm going to go with a guy who, we mentioned Jameis Winston earlier. I think Jarvis Landry is going to have a sneaky good season on that offense with Jameis Winston. And, there's a lot of sort of question marks about Michael Thomas. You've got Olave coming in, this new guy. Landry has been there. He's done that. He's probably going to be on the field. He's probably going to be healthy. So I'm going to lock in Jarvis Landry as a safe option at wide receiver should I need him. Right, Paul. Who was it?
So the guy that I wanted was my QB's dinner date, and that is Romeo Doubs. Doubs, is that how you pronounce it? Doubs?
Romeo Doubs. Romeo.
He could quite easily be Aaron Rodgers' guy this year.
Yeah.
And taking that stack, and we're all shooting for upside here. He may not be Aaron Rodgers' guy, but he's not needed in my starting lineup. So I'm not needing him week in, week out. So why not take a shot in the dark and go, he's the guy that Aaron Rodgers is taking out for lunch. And as we spoke, I think it was me and you, Mags, on the rewind last night that was saying, you don't just take somebody out that, for no reason. You're taking them out. You are?
I can't remember who I spoke to that about. Was I speaking to Matt about? I can't remember. I spoke to someone about that, about restaurant tasting.
Somebody spoke to me about that. It was.
I spoke to someone about that.
You don't just take him out.
Yeah.
Because he's good at choosing dinner. You're taking him out because you're building a connection with him.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. Romeo, wherefore art thou, Romeo? He's on Paul's team. That's where it is. So we're on the board again with Matt. Romeo Doubs come off the board. Jenny McKissick come off the board as well. Doesn't look like team 6 or 7 has done you too dirty there, Matt. So
no.
You're back on the board there. Round number 15. 4 picks to go. Who are you thinking?
Yeah, still need my QB3. I'm shocked that more quarterbacks haven't gone yet. So I feel like maybe I can potentially. What am I doing? Am I like playing the board here, knowing that these computer picks aren't being quarterbacks, even though they probably should be.
They will go in round, but spoiler, round 17 they'll all go because it's a sleeper glitch. It will happen. So
that means I can wait one more pick.
You can, but then Kev might go quarterback. Now that
he might do that because he will go all out to ruin my draft, ruin his own draft just to ruin my draft. So now I'll do it as if this was a real draft, and I think if there was an opportunity to take a quarterback here, I'm more than happy to take one in round 15. It's not great pickings when we're looking at these quarterbacks. Obviously, talking about guys like Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder, they've got the upside, but being day 2 picks in the NFL, probably not getting a start until potentially later on this year, if at all. Makes them slightly risky. I do need a quarterback that can play for the bye weeks that I've got. And there's a quarterback, Kev's probably going to laugh again when I say his name, because Kev knows that I'm coming full circle on this guy, really starting to be intrigued by him. He's just been traded, so that kind of gives a clue at where I'm looking here. But it's Baker Mayfield now. I understand there's people that have got concerns with Baker Mayfield. He's had his ups and downs, should we say. That rookie year was special. Beyond that, it's been pretty horrendous. But new opportunity in Carolina, and I really like the landing spot, to be honest. You can say what you want about Baker Mayfield, but the fact that he's now going to have some weapons, that he's just got to get the ball out of his hands, basically, and these weapons can do it for him. DJ Moore, Christian McCaffrey, these are guys that can rack up the points for the quarterback. I think the fact that I can stack him with Christian McCaffrey, any receptions that go to McCaffrey, I'm getting double trouble on that. So I'm happy to take Baker Mayfield as my QB3.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. In fact, I'd almost forgot that you had taken all the way up here Christian McCaffrey. So yeah, you're getting that kind of sneaky stack. There kind of late into the draft. So I love that pick of Baker Mayfield too. I think I said last night, Paul, we all want to see Baker Mayfield absolutely hammer the Browns in week 1, right? So that'd be great and get your team off to an absolute flyer. So Kev, you're back on the board now. You got 2 picks in a row. Who's standing out for you? Sorry for taking DJ Chark as well. That was cool.
Now, I think obviously there's loads of QBs left on the board. I'm going to just swerve QB because I don't think they'd be there without the sleeper glitch. I think it'd be dirty of me to take a Jared Goff, a Desmond Ridder, someone, Daniel Jones. I've got 3 QBs. I wouldn't be averse taking a 4th and shooting for upside, but I'm going to swerve them and just stick to running back. I think I've got 2 running backs. It's an 18-man roster. Probably looking at rostering 6 in that format. A third of your roster are running backs. First guy I'm going to take, touched upon a great offensive line and probably an underrated offense. It's Jamal Williams of the Lions.
Yep.
Swift's been injured before, not played a full 16 games. We know Williams has performed well in a timeshare before at the Packers and again with the Lions. So he's my first pick.
Yep.
And then second guy, I'm going to shoot for the moon. I think his running back teammates have got major question marks. I'm not in on any of his teammates. He's in a pretty good offense, actually. You might be familiar with it, Mags. And it is a bit of a hype train, but I think if he gets the job, his value, it's going to be higher than round 16. Not for next season, but I think his value will spike to a potential where he could move him on for something nice. And that's Isaiah Pacheco.
Yeah, again, you gotta shoot for the moon at this stage in the draft, and Pacheco, a guy that could even be something that someone's like, damn, I really want to get Pacheco, and you can just trade him right away, and they're like, okay, you can have him. What do you want? Like, just get rid of him almost right away because his value's very high right now. I don't see Pacheco doing too much, but to be honest, I don't see any of the running backs doing too much. So maybe Pacheco will do the most of not a lot, and that is maybe enough to give him a good role. Who knows? It's kind of all up in the air. So I think you want a piece of that, and it's a bit of a lottery, and Pacheco could be the winning ticket. So love that pick, Kevin. Matt, we're right back to you.
Yeah, I'm looking at tight end now. I've got my obviously stud in Goddard, who I really like, but I need to address and get a second tight end. So I think like now's probably the time to do it. I feel like there's still running backs and there's plenty of wide receivers that I actually really like at this spot, but I need to show up that tight end position. And there's a guy that I don't want to risk taking a chance on him not coming back to me. As a guy that I really liked as a rookie last year. Didn't get a huge opportunity, but I feel like that opportunity is gonna grow this year. He looks to be the tight end one over with the Texans, and that's Brevin Jordan. Really athletic tight end. Look, as I say, I loved him as a prospect, and I just feel like there's opportunity there for him. We know Brandon Cooks obviously a stud. Nico Collins, a guy that's still available that I'd be very tempted to take right now, but I've loaded up on those wide receivers, so I'm going to take his teammate in Brevin Jordan and get a potential solid tight end too.
Yeah, Brevin Jordan, who I've not studied this and not analyzed it, but I'm fairly confident Brevin Jordan is the most selected player on the Dynasty Hotseat. I think whenever people get to this point, they're like, I need some upside, and then they look at tight end and they go, oh, Brevin Jordan, like it's like just that, like eureka moment. He's there, he's got the upside, he's young. Yeah, it's hard not to pick Brevin Jordan at that stage, Matt. So yeah, gotta agree with you there. And the masses on the hot seat, he also took Brevin Jordan. So love that pick. And Paul, right back to you in round number 16.
Well, Matt's made me think about tight ends now, so I was having a look at them. But I'm gonna stick to the guy that I was gonna take, and he's the wide receiver 2 on the team. And if anything happens to Brandon Cooks, then I think Nico Collins has got a great pathway to being relevant. And I'm gonna finish up my wide receiver core with Nico Collins from the Texans.
Yep. Really nice pick, Paul. Nico Collins, really solid guy. Cook's obviously number 1 there. Collins did well last year, did really well in preseason as well. So I think Collins is a nice pick there and a good guy to have on your roster, just in case anything happens. I was a little bit terrified. I'm not going to lie. I'm just going to check tight end. I was a little bit terrified you were going to take my guy, but you haven't. So I'm pleased. So there's a guy that's really standing out to me there. Someone who I think has a chance to, carve out a good role this year on a super high-powered offense. And long-term, he's surrounded by older wide receivers. Joshua Palmer has a chance in the next 3-4 years to be Justin Herbert's guy. And that is just, worth its weight in gold. So I'm going to take Joshua Palmer here, hoping that, once Keenan Allen, once Mike Evans kind of start to get older and lose a step, he starts to make more of a role in this offense. And, he's looked amazing every time he steps onto the field in preseason. He looked great towards the end of last season. So I'm happy getting in Josh Palmer. I'm happy with him sitting on my bench this year. Probably won't play too much, but going forward, I'm hoping that he will. And here go the quarterbacks, right? Like we said, round number 17, it usually happens. And I've seen a running back I like here as well, right at the top of the list. It's Raheem Mostert, part of that Dolphins offense. Nobody really knows what Mike McDaniel is going to do with that offense. Obviously, Chase Edmonds seems to be the consensus number one guy, but Raheem Mostert has played in that system before. Raheem Mostert knows it like the back of his hand. Raheem Mostert probably will get injured, but for a few weeks, he has a chance to play a good bit. So I'm going to get Raheem Mostert in and hopefully make the most of him while he still has the field. And Paul, that's right back to you.
So now I'm going to get me tight end. And
have you not got one?
Yeah, I've got Dalton Schultz, but
okay.
I need a second tight end. Tight end. I'm not going to let Sleeper, scare me into taking Daniel Jones at this moment in time. So I'm torn between two. I can't decide. So I'm going to go for the one. Again, he's on a high-powered offense, and he's going to be playing alongside Justin Herbert, and that's Gerald Everett.
Yep. Love it. Again, at this round, just taking the upside. Everett, pretty clear tight end one there, right? I think McBride and Parham, don't really offer too much threat to him. I mean, Parham can't even catch a ball and stay conscious. So, I mean, he's not too much of a threat. So let's get Everett locked in. And Matt, on the board again with your penultimate pick.
Yeah, Kev kind of hinted to it earlier. I'm a little bit similar to him. I think 6 running backs is probably what you look for when there's 18 rounds, an 18-man roster. So, yeah, I'm looking at running back here. I know that I'm not going to be getting value here. This is not a stage of the draft where I feel like there's a guy here that I can pick and gain super value. So I'm thinking of a guy that can really help me this year. And there's somebody that's standing out with potential upside if there were to be injuries to the starter. And there was also the RB9 through the final 6 weeks of last year. So there's potential upside there. We've seen it last year. Last year it was with the LA Rams. This year he's moved to the other side of LA, or the same side, really, the same stadium. I'm taking Sony Michel here because I just think there's upside there. If anything were to happen to Austin Eckler, we know that the role that he's got. We know that he's an undersized running back. We've seen it in the last few years that he can succumb to injuries. So there's a potential that he does miss time, and if he does, we've got a guy here that can take over the backfield. I was high on Isaiah Spiller, but it looks like that he's not really shown up in the way that we'd hope. And the fact that they brought in somebody like Sony Michel, he's not going to wow anybody with the fact that I'm taking him, but I just feel there's upside there if anything were to happen to the starter. So yeah, Sony Michel, happy to take him as my RB5. Is that?
Yeah, lovely. Yeah, Sony Michel, I was a bit worried. I kind of oddly didn't intend to own a lot of Sony Michel shares, but I do. I was kind of a bit like, when he got cut from the Dolphins, but then seeing him, sign for the Chargers, I was like, actually, I prefer that, I think. So I think better news for Sony Michel owners in Dynasty for him ending up over at the Chargers. And Kev, you're on the board again. Your final 2 picks of the draft. So who's standing out for you? Is there any deep sleepers you want to chuck in here, or are you going to stick to the board?
Well, I'll tell you a funny story, actually. Going back to my first ever podcast with Matt, and a running back he highlighted as a top 20 running back or top 24 running back at the time, or a value, was Sony Michel. And that was a take that obviously didn't come to fruition. But also, I made a shout that Mark Ingram was a top 20 running back, and he basically fell off planet Earth. So we're as bad as each other. It'd be quite funny to take Mark Ingram, which I'm going to do because I do think I think he's the next guy in line if something happens to Alvin Kamara in that offense, which is looking really, really solid. So I'm taking him. And then last pick, I thought Matt was actually going to describe this guy when he was saying about needing injuries to get a role, etc. Dennis Johnson. I think if something happens with Kareem Hunt being traded to the Eagles, maybe, I think he's going to thrive in that team. And if not this season, next season when he becomes a free agent.
Yeah, I really like the Ernest Johnson. As a player, he's kind of in that bad situation where he's in that role of really good NFL player, but not a good fantasy player right now, and he just needs to end up on the right situation to have some fantasy relevance. So I like that pick of Ernest Johnson as your final pick, Kevin. Matt, we're back to you for your last pick of the draft as well.
Yeah, kind of funny because Kev taking a running back there with the Browns mentioning the potential upside if anything were to happen to Kareem Hunt if he was to move on. I thought it was describing the guy that I really like, and I think it's only fitting that we followed each other side by side, saying we'd have took each other's players. Well, Kev's taken one running back with the Browns. I'm going to take the other guy, Jerome Ford. He's a running back that I really like as a rookie. Just that first game that he had in preseason, over 100 yards and a touchdown. He then had a really good game to follow it up. I think that Jerome Ford is the guy that you want to be owning in this backfield if anything were to happen to Kareem Hunt, not the Ernest Johnson. No shit on you, Kev. I'm just sticking to my process. But we all know that I was high in pre-draft. It fell in the NFL draft. But yeah, I think there's upside there for the reasons that Kev mentioned. But I'm going with the other guy in Jerome Ford.
Love it. So we can't wait to see who's going to win the battle there of the last picks. So we'll have to check let's be honest. Probably, yeah. It's going to be Chubb and Hunt, and the other them are going to play it all. But we'll have to check in and see who gets 1/5 of a point one week, and then we'll declare then the winner, and that'll be fine. So, Paul, we're on to you now for your final pick. You got your second tight end locked up. You've got your whole team, spread out across. So what are you thinking for your last pick?
So I was thinking, do you know what? I was thinking of taking a player, and what I'd normally do is take that player, and then once he's had a couple of good weeks, then try and flip him for value or something like that. So yeah, I did. I have put Sammy Watkins in my queue. I thought, well, he's renowned for going off on week 1, maybe week 2. See if I could turn him into even a 3rd round pick, something like that. To me,
you need to be careful with Watkins actually, because if you press the pick button too hard, he will get injured.
yeah, and also the running backs at the Ravens at the moment is J.K. Dobbins going to be there week 1? Is it going to be Mike Davis? Is it going to be Kenyon Drake? Is it going to be question mark? You don't know. But I'm actually going to go for the guy who I think is the second man up at the most high-powered offense in the NFL and future Super Bowl team, and that is Darrell Williams, the running back for the Arizona Cardinals.
I knew that would come in.
Yeah. Go Cards, go!
Wow. Darrell Williams. I mean, what you gotta feel sorry for Darrell Williams coming from a team that really knows what's going on, a really solid structure, and then coming into the Cards. We'll see what happens, but I imagine we're going to cut to Darrell Williams and he's going to have a big frown on his face in week 1 because he's thinking, "What have I got myself into?" But
or he's going to be doing a TikTok video on the Chiefs logo.
Oh yeah, I mean that's just. I mean, I said my biggest fear about the Chiefs this year is that Juju Smith-Schuster meets Jackson Mahomes, and they end up doing a TikTok collab. That is my biggest fear for the Chiefs this year. So hopefully that does not happen. And I'm on the board. It's the last pick of the show, guys. First of all, can I just say thank you to all 3 of you. What an absolute epically long show this has been. Thank you for anyone who's stayed in and listened to this in 1 go or 2 goes or even 3. Thank you so much. So I'll try and keep my last pick as short as I can. I think I'm going to go with tight end because I've got one tight end locked up. I'm going to go with my guy. You can see there's a star next to only one of them, and it's going to please Matt. It's a guy from his Giants. It's Daniel Bellinger, who it's great getting a tight end here who does look to be the number one tight end on that offense, I think. And getting a young tight end who's a really good blocker, so he'll be in the field, is great. And Daniel Bellinger, I think, is a young, solid tight end too. And deep breath, everyone. We made it. We made it to the end. Fantastic effort, everyone. What an absolute epic show. We'll quickly just review each of our teams. I'll go first because we can see up on the screen. Then we'll go to Paul, if you could call out your roster, and then we'll go to Matt and Kev. So let's have a look at how I've done here. I've got Justin Herbert in at quarterback, Austin Eckler and Damian Pierce as my starting running backs for the moment. A wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, Marquise Hollywood Brown, and Rashad Bateman as the wide receiver 3. Cole Kmet at tight end. Flex spots sitting at the minute. We got Sky Moore and Ramondre Stevenson. Deshaun Watson in that super flex spot, but obviously Derek Carr will be in there for the first couple of weeks, and they can move in and out for flex or for bye weeks, etc. On the bench, solid running backs, Melvin Gordon, Zamir White. We got wide receivers on the bench, DJ Chark, Jarvis Landry, Joshua Palmer, and then Raheem Mostert at running back, and then Daniel Bellinger as the final pick. Guys, what do you think of that? Have I done all right? Have I done my show justice? What do you think?
I like it. I do like it, to be fair. I think you spread it out quite well. I think you've got some great value picks. I think you've gone quite risky with QB with Deshaun Watson, and there's a bit of a question mark above him. But no, all in all, I like it.
Thanks, mate. I don't often get to pick in the show, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt, I cut you off there.
No, just saying the wide receivers. I think you smashed it at wide receivers. I was a little bit shocked when you took Pierce as your RB2, but yeah, I mean, it looks like he's getting that opportunity. So that's just speaking from a guy that's been burnt on these day 3 running backs that don't quite materialize. Just putting a warning out there. But no, on the whole, Mags, love it. You've made some great picks, Stevens. You start with plenty of time, Stevenson, Sky Moore. Yeah, you've made some great picks.
Yeah, I think Pierce was the one that stood out as a whoa moment. Didn't see that one coming, but Stevenson's your RB2 in my eyes. I think QB, you've got enough to get by without Watson for the first half of the season, so you're going to have a killer lineup towards the end. You can maybe even flip a guy like Derek Carr as your QB3, tear down with him and upgrade at another spot, maybe tight end with Cole Kmet if that doesn't materialise and that offense struggles. But overall, I really like your draft. I like your depth.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, everyone. And Paul, we'll go to you if you're able to read out who you've got on your team.
Yeah, so I've got Aaron Rodgers, and then my starting running backs are Jonathan Taylor and Alvin Kamara. My starting wide receivers at the moment, Devontae Adams, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Robert Woods. Tight end, Dalton Schultz. My 2 flex are Leonard Fournette and Jacoby Myers. My super flex is Tom Brady. And then on my bench, QB, I've got Matt Ryan. Running back, Khalil Herbert, Darrell Henderson, and Darrell Williams. Wide receivers, I've got MVS, Romeo Doubs, Nico Collins. And then at tight end, I've got Gerald Everett.
Yeah, love it. I'll let Kev, you can go first on that one for Paul. What are you thinking about his roster he's built?
I think it's a great redraft team. Try not to laugh. No, I think it's a really good win now team. It's a team that generally becomes an orphan after 2 years.
but like I'd aim to win the league. I'd aim to win the league within 2 years and flip it on its head then, and cash in and see you later.
Cash out. Yeah, I like it.
No, I think Kev was spot on. I think in terms of a team that's win now, I think you've got all the key pieces there. I mean, the average age must be pretty high. It's got to be over 30s. I'd love to do the breakdown and see what the average age of that roster is. But yeah, on the whole, your wide receivers solid. Your running backs, your starting running backs solid. Quarterbacks, while they're up there in age, they're some of the elite guys at the position. So yeah, it's hard to pick too many holes. Just like Kev said, and like you said, Paul, it's one of those, isn't it, where you go all out to win in those first 2 years, and then it's a rebuild job, and hopefully you can get some value still on those older guys.
Yeah. Completely agree, mate. I think you've gone full McVay here. You've gone to hell with the future and just gone. We're gonna put all our chips on and see if we can win this year. And I think you've done a great job at building a strong win now roster. So let's have a quick little glance over it. Let's look at Matt's roster here. Matt, do you want to talk us through who you've got on your team?
Yeah, so I've got Lamar Jackson as my starting quarterback. Then I picked up Christian McCaffrey. Got Chase Edmonds as my RB2. Then I kind of punted the position and took Rashad Penny later on and Kenneth Gainwell as my RB4. Wide receivers, I went heavy in the middle. Took Waddle, Godwin, Burks, and Elijah Moore. Dallas Goedert as my tight end 1. Then picked up my guy in Christian Kirk, who I'm really excited for. Rondale Moore and Tyler Boyd. Then waited a little bit, kind of cheated the system by getting my QB3 so late in Baker Mayfield. But I think that's, to be honest, Baker could easily fall towards that around 13, 14, 15 range. So don't feel like I cheated too much there. And then got Brevin Jordan as my tight end too.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really stands out to me for this team is, I mean, just if you can see the screen here, this run of 4 wide receivers, Waddle, Godwin, Burks, and Elijah Moore. I think you've absolutely smashed it at the wide receiver position. So you've got a good amount of longevity there as well, but also with Christian McCaffrey in that team, you got a chance to win now as well. So I think you've done a great job of kind of balancing that act of being able to win now and then also being able to fall back a little bit as well. So I think you've done a great job there, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
Paul. Oh, sorry, Kev.
I'm just gonna say it's pretty much typical Matt draft. Being in several drafts, he does favour the younger guys. Running back, he's older than he usually goes, but you can't really argue with where he's took them players. Yeah, he's done a pretty good job on most of it, which is pretty upsetting.
Love it. I'm going to save that clip of Kev saying that.
Yeah, I'll clip that. I'll put that out as a YouTube little short. That's great. Paul, what do you think of Matt's roster?
I really like it. I think you spread it out quite well. You took two early QBs and 2 solid QBs that can be the lead of this team for a good couple of years to go. I think, like Mike said, them wide receivers in the middle, you couldn't have asked for better value, really, could you? Picking up them 4 there, and then Goddard, picking up a great tight end. I think you've done a great job here, mate. To be fair, I really like that team.
Love it. Everyone's full of compliments for everybody. Isn't that lovely? And let's see if we can change that now as we get on to Kev's team. But Kev, do you want to talk us through who you've drafted?
Yeah, so I went for a productive struggle, Trey Lance, to kick us off with Kyle Pitts. Went for T. Higgins, paired him with Mike Williams with Saquon in between. Got Kirk Cousins and Jameis Winston as my 2 and 3. I think that gives me the best probably QB3 in the league. Gives me some trade leverage against the others. AJ Dillon, my running back 2, I think massive upside. Then it's just mainly wide receivers who are going to hit now. Cooks and Thielen. You've got Talbot, who's a potential. Calvin Ridley, someone for the future, even though he's 27. Julio Jones for now. David Njoku, tight end 1. And then just finished it off with running back after running back, Jamal Williams, Pacheco, Ingram, and Ernest Johnson for the win.
Love it. Paul, I'll let you kick off. What you think of that to start with?
Yeah, I really like it. I think your QBs really stand out to me. I think you've got some great value in your QBs. I love Jameis Winston and Kirk Cousins as I think they're both anyone would pick them as their QB2, and the fact that you've got them as your QB2 and 3, I think that's great value. I love the Mike Williams pick. I'm starting to come on board with that as he is he's going to be more value than Keenan Allen next year, and I'm starting to lean towards that. And I think my favorite pick of this is T. Higgins. I think he's going to be phenomenal this year. But yeah, all in all, I really like it, and I really like the fact that you stuck to your guns with David and Joker as well. It's nice to see somebody saying this is my guy, and then going and picking him and going standing with my guy. So fair dues.
Love it. Matt, what do you think of that?
Yeah, I thought it all the way through the draft, to be honest. Kev's doing pretty well, which was annoying to see as I was making my picks, that Kev was also making good picks. Gone a little bit like myself, really. He's got those stud quarterbacks. Obviously, I didn't take a great QB3, but he's got 3 solid quarterbacks there. Tight ends, he knows I love T. Higgins, he knows I love Mark Williams, so I love the wide receivers. And as I say, a little bit like myself, the running back positions where it's a bit sketchy after the top guy, but he's loaded up after he took his first 2. He faded the position, but then loaded up towards the end, which I think in terms of Dynasty, you're never going to have elite running backs unless you take them early. And if you do that, you fade in other positions. So, yeah, I think that's the one position that I would have faded and did fade, and so did Kev. So, yeah, I think it's a great roster, to be honest, and quite annoyed by that.
Yeah, I think you're certainly locked and loaded for the future. I mean, you've got a starting lineup there that could easily be a starting lineup for the next 2 or 3 years without having to change anything. Then you can, address that running back position if you want to in the draft, which is always easy to do because there's a lot of running backs come out every year that people like the look of, and even people like Damian Pierce come out of nowhere sometimes. So, I think you've done a great job. You've got elite upside at quarterback, and you've got maybe the elite of the elite upside at tight end, so that's positions you don't have to worry about. So yeah, I think you've done it well, definitely, in terms of the whole point of the game is try and create a dynasty, and I think you're well along your way with this team. And guys, that is actually it. I think this is definitely the longest show I've ever done, probably the longest show anyone's ever done or will ever do. I just wanted to extend the biggest thank you once again to all of you legends. Without all of you, the hot seat may not have even been running this long. So really wanted to say thank you all so much for all the help and all the support that you've given. And yeah, just want to give you the chance to say what you're up to and any kind of last plugs. Matt, I'll let you go first.
Yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at MattFFDynasty. You can find myself and Kev doing the Fantasy Wildcard Dynasty podcast, which drops every Tuesday as a podcast, every Wednesday as a stream. And obviously, with the season coming up, we're going to be digging into everything that happens throughout the NFL season. And yeah, I just can't wait for it to start. We're close now, boys. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah, Matt just said everything I want to say. I'm at Dynasty_GOAT, but Matt's probably a better follow than me. So if you only want to follow one of us, I'd pick him. Yeah, thanks for having us on, Matt. It's been a pleasure to come on again. And just to anybody out there listening, just follow Fantasy Wildcard, Wildcard Rewind, Wildcard Dynasty on Twitter and our YouTube site as well, Fantasy Wildcard Podcast Network. Search that. Happy days.
Love it.
Yeah, go follow me on Twitter at Paul_picking. Me and Mags and our fellow co-host Hannah started our Wildcard Rewind show yesterday, so go check that out, give it a listen, let us know what you think. And just to take this moment to thank Kev, Matt, and Ali, all of you. Without you guys, I don't think the rewind would be possible, and the help you give us and everything like that, it's all second to none. So you guys deserve a lot of credit for what we're putting together, So really appreciate you guys.
Yeah, absolutely echoed that as well, Paul. 3 absolute legends. Ali can't be here because he doesn't get any internet at the minute, sadly. But hopefully he's listening at work when his boss isn't looking. So Ali, shout out to you as well, mate. And shout out to everyone who's listened to the show. Absolutely love recording this as always. And the hot seat, we're cooling off for a little while, but like always, remember, keep yourselves and your teams lit. Until next time, we'll see you later.